Fucking. That one's still doing that. Get rid of that. Anyway, let me make sure that the fucking thing is working. Let me add every single person in the fucking lobby. Yo, Eli, welcome, bro. I was gonna at everyone, but you're already here, bro, which is very nice to see. Welcome, Eli. You are first, bro. Welcome. Good to have you here, bro. Just making sure that everyone is getting notified. Yo, Adam, I was about to ping you as well, just for anyone who didn't get notified by that. Because obviously some people said that the pings in Discords apparently aren't working. I don't know why. I don't really know how to fix that for you guys. But let me just put... I'll do both of Mr. Wazza's channels, because I don't know which one he actually uses. So, I'll ping both of them, and maybe he'll get the notification on one of them. But, yeah, welcome, guys. Good to have you here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, Adam. Welcome, Eli. We got Baz, Martinelli, Mr. Wazza. Let me, I'll give everyone a chance. I don't know if, I'll give everyone an just so that they have a chance to be in the prize and stuff like that. Your Discord ain't working. Ah, that's annoying. Okay. Because I kind of need the link in the top chat, / live chat, because I've got the rules in the description explaining why. I kind of need that Discord link thing, you know what I mean? But at least you got the YouTube link. Other than that, let me put... who else have I not pinged yet? Ah, yes, at Bozza. Then I think we've pinged everyone. Give me a second, guys. I'm just writing the message in the Discord for the people that don't get notified. Like V-Bucks in Fortnite. What, you mean for the prize? Yeah, I could buy you V-Bucks. I can buy you a fucking, like, just a fucking goddamn anything. Because, like, Amazon do every kind of gift. Like, there is a V-Bucks, like, if you want to read through the rules of, like, what you can do and stuff like that, the prize can be whatever the winner desires, up to 50 quid. So if you want V-Bucks in Fortnite for up to 50 quid, I can give you V-Bucks in Fortnite for up to 50 quid. You know what I mean? That's why it's like, it's open for anyone. Because even if you don't like football, you can have a guess. And then you can get something you like. You know what I mean? And that's why I'm like, I'm giving you guys a fair shot here. You know what I mean? Now, obviously, I am also going to have a guess myself. Because if I win, then I don't have to give away the money. But it's going to be me versus everyone else. So it's more than likely one of you are going to win. That's why I'm pinging everyone in the Discord and that, just so that, like, everyone has a shot. Because as it says in the rules, guys, in the description, if you have not done your vote, like, basically, I'm going to do all my predictions in this stream of the table and all of the other stuff. And then you guys then have until the first game of the season, which is, I think, in 2 weeks' time from Friday. I think the first game of the season is 2 weeks' time from Friday, or from today. So you then have 2 weeks to have your guess either in the comment section of this video or in the football chat channel in the Discord, so that I can then tally up everyone's guesses, put them in like a little safe place for me to know everyone's guesses, and then when the end of the season happens, we'll go through all of it, pick the ones that I got correct, and then find out how many points I ended on. And then that's the thingy, you know what I mean? Anyway. Just putting the message in the Discord for the people that did not get notified. Because I wanted to give everyone a shot, you know what I mean? And stuff like that. But, yo, MRJ, how you doing, bro? Isn't football over now because Spain won? Well, that was the World Cup. This is league football. This is Premier League. Because this is the English Football League. This is the one we care about. I mean, we care about the World Cup, but, like, the World Cup was, like, obviously a big spectacle, but now we're getting back to league football. Yo, how you doing, MRJ, by the way? Sorry, I was just putting a message in the Discord for the people that weren't notified. But yeah, like I will say, for anyone that, like, does join and stuff like that, obviously you got to read the description. For anyone watching this in the future, read the description. My really long way of rules of how to win my money at the end of the season and stuff like that. I'll always call it that. Why not, guys? You guys are going to win my money. And yeah, like I said, you know what I mean? Like, end of the day, it's your chance to win my money at the end of the season. But, yeah, I'm going to give people a chance, obviously, to, you know, get notified by my Discord ping, also the YouTube ping and stuff like that. So I'll probably give people maybe like 5 more minutes, like 4 or 5 more minutes, and then we'll get into it. Now, the bonus with this is, like I said, because I'm doing it 2 weeks early, right? Basically, because I'm doing it 2 weeks early, it gives everyone a chance to have the 2 weeks to watch the video. And basically, after the 2 weeks of watching the video, the second the season starts, your vote is null and void. That's why I need to get everyone's vote of what they think my final total is going to be. That's why I'm saying make sure to read everything, because I think I've explained everything perfectly in the description of how the point system works, how it works for the league table, how it works for that's fine, bro. You know, like, end of the day, like, there's, like, I think I've explained it quite well of, like, how the league table works, how the point system works, how it works for the extra predictions, because for anyone who is here right now, we're not just doing, right, like, look, if I quickly change, we're not just doing this. This is the normal, right? Like, this is the normal right here. End of the day. This is the normal. Okay, so you've obviously got, this is what we do every year. I will move the chat as well, by the way, don't worry. Let me actually do that right now, actually. Otherwise, it's going to be in the way. We'll put it over here. But yeah, like, this is the normal right here, where you obviously have, you know, all the teams and stuff like that. And then, obviously, I have to put them in the 20th to 1st in league predictions and stuff like that. Yeah, the World Cup is over, but the football isn't just the World Cup, bro. But yeah, we have this normal predictions tier list, which, like I said, for anyone who doesn't want to read the description for no real reason, even though it's really good at explaining it, basically, each one of these that I get in the exact correct position from 1 to 20 is 1 point each. And then there's extra points on the line, guys, for this over here, which is my added predictions of the Premier League. So basically, this is what I mean when I say I'm going to be predicting top goal scorer. And obviously, I'm going to get 3 guesses at it. I'm going to get my first guess, which, let's say my first guess is Erling Haaland, right? And then my second guess is like Victor Gyökeres. And then my third guess is like, I don't know, Igor Thiago or something, right? And then when the season ends, if any of those 3 are the top goal scorer of the Premier League, my first guess, which was Erling Haaland, if he wins the top goal scorer, that would be 3 points because he was my first guess. If Gyökeres, who was my second guess, wins top goal scorer, then that would be 2 points because he was my second guess. And then if Igor Thiago finished as the top Prem goal scorer, he was my third guess, so that's 1 point. And if none of them got the top goal scorer in the Premier League, then guess what? That's 0 points in that category. And that's where you guys have got to think, like, how confident are you in my predictions? You know what I mean? And there's a lot of them here. There's a lot of these predictions. You've got top goal scorer, most assists, most clean sheets, best signing of the season, breakout star, which, by the way, I'm counting as players that are like... I'm counting them as, like, players that are, like, 19 or under, kind of. Because, like, anything above 20 and you're not really a breakout star anymore, you're someone who's kind of done well. I'm meaning someone who's, like... Breakout star is kind of, like, 19 or under. Not like... player of the season, but more like people who haven't made a name for themselves and they have a goated season, you know what I mean? Then under your chat, which I will move when I do this one, is worst signing of the season. And then there is player of the year, young player of the year, most disappointing player. Again, it's been cut off a little bit because when I eventually do get round to it, I will be able to move it across. But at the moment, I cannot do that. But look, as you can see, look, there. Most disappointing player. And then we have biggest surprise player, biggest surprise team, and first manager sacked. And that's kind of how it would work, you know what I mean? And so, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, that's my point of where it's like, okay, well, you know, you get my point of how, like, it's going to kind of work. So, yeah, just bear with. GNG, all you know is Messi and Ronaldo. Well, that's the bonus, bro. You don't have to know anything. All you have to do is, when I tell you how many points that is physically up for grabs, then all you have to do is just put a guess in. That's the bonus of this, because it's whoever's closest. Someone's going to win. You don't have to get it exact. You just have to get the closest possible thing to what I get from all of my predictions. You get it? You know what I mean? So, yeah. Like, you just have to have your best possible human guess that you can physically have. You know what I mean? So, like... So that's my point. It's like, you don't... Yeah, no, I know what you mean. But yeah, like, end of the day... You don't have to get it exact. You just have to get... Yeah, I know. You don't have to get it dead on. You know what I mean? So, yeah, all you have to do is just try your best, put a random guess in, and then at the end of the season, we'll see who wins. But like I said, I will be keeping all of the guesses of people, of what they think is going to be right, in the description. Well, like, put them in the comments, put them in the Discord, in the football chat Discord, of your prediction of how many you think I'm going to get right when I've done the guesses. And then, yeah, like I said, whoever wins, wins. You know what I mean? Whoever gets closest wins. And they win the 50 quid in whatever they want. You know, it could be a game, it could be a website, if you want to go splurging on fucking goddamn Amazon or something, you know what I mean? It can be, as long as I can physically buy you a code on that website, and then send you the code once I bought it, then it's fine, you know what I mean? And I can do that with V-Bucks, because I know you can buy FIFA points on Amazon, so I don't know why you wouldn't be able to buy fucking V-Bucks. So if you want V-Bucks, I can buy you 50 quid worth of V-Bucks and then send you the code to put it in. You know what I mean? So, like, that's my whole point. It's like, I'm willing to give you guys a chance here. You know what I mean? But yeah, like I said, for anyone who is either skipping ahead or does not know the rules and things like that of how this prize thing is going to work, just go to the description of this stream / video, and you will see everything in detail of what you have to do to have a chance of winning. And remember that before, you have 2 weeks, pretty much. After this stream has been posted, you have 2 weeks before the season starts. So you have 2 weeks to get a guess in. And it just has to be a guess. Even if you don't think you know the exact, just has to be a rough estimate of a guess of how many points you think I'm going to get. And if you're closest, you win. And obviously, I'm going to put one in as well, because like I said, if I'm somehow the one who does manage to win, then that's just GG. You know, I got lucky. You know what I mean? But it's a guess, end of the day, isn't it? So, yeah. Anyway, we've been going for 15 minutes. I wanted to give people a chance to get notified by Discord or YouTube or whatever, and get themselves ready and set. So, with that being said, guys, I think it is time we get things underway. You know what I mean? End of the day, I don't want to sit here and wait, you know, like 50 gazillion years for people to get notified. Like I said, people can join any time throughout, or you can watch this in the future if you want and put your guess in. You don't have to be in the stream. I'm giving you guys 2 weeks, you know what I mean, to put your guess in. So as long as you watch through, have a good thorough look at what I'm doing, what I'm putting in, what I'm guessing as where, and stuff like that. And like I said, if I get any of the teams, so if I go back to it real quick, if I get any of the teams in the correct position, for instance, this is what I'm going to be starting with today. If I get any of these teams, like let's say I do all the predictions, I put, I don't know, everyone wherever, and let's say I get, I don't know, 3 of them in the exact position they finished the season in. For instance, let's say I put, why not, Man United as the champions and they win the Prem. And then, like, let's say I put Brentford in relegation and they get relegated. But they get relegated in the exact position, by the way. It's 20, look, 18th to 20. So it has to be dead on. It's not just, oh, if they get relegated. You know what I mean? Like, it's not if they get relegated or if they finish in this category. It's if they finish in the dead on position. So if I do UCL as, let's say, Arsenal, Villa, Newcastle, Forest, which it won't be, by the way, but if I did it as Arsenal, Newcastle, Villa, Forest, and I had Arsenal 2nd, Villa 3rd, Newcastle 4th, Forest 5th, but instead it was the opposite way round, and Forest finished 2nd, Newcastle finished 3rd, Villa finished 4th, and Arsenal finished 5th, that's no points, because none of them are in the correct position, even if they're in the correct category. You get my point? You're over-explaining. No, I'm not, mate. Trust me. When there's money on the line, you guys will manage to fuck it up. Like, I know full well that you guys will manage to not fucking goddamn understand, bro. I'm explaining once so that I never have to explain it again, just in case you guys still do not understand the rules in the bloody description of the stream. You know what I mean? You gotta go. Where you gotta go, bro? You've only just arrived, ain't you? Where you going? Look, where you gotta go, bruv? You gonna be back, or are you just going? Like what's going on here, bruv? But yeah, like I said, you know, end of the day, that's kind of how it works. You get the gist. So anyway, with that being said, guys, and with all of that in place, let me put the chat in the position where it's not gonna get in the way, so we'll put it there. And with that being said, I think it's about ready time to start, guys, I think. Of where the hell I think I'm going to put people. So, I don't really know how it's going to go, but we're going to try our best. You know, we're going to see how we do. We're going to try our best, and, yeah, you know, end of the day, like I said, it's the same thing as we do every year with the Premier League predictions, except this time you guys have a chance to win, and there's also a bunch more stuff. So, yeah, you know what I mean? Make sure to have, you know, be ready, have your popcorn, have all of that shit in place, you know? And, make sure to be ready. Villa 20th. That's a prediction. That's a hell of a fucking prediction there, Adam, you know, but I'll just give you a hint. No, they're not going 20th. So, hopefully I've explained everything perfectly, guys. Hopefully you guys understand how the rules work, how all of that, you know, stuff works, how everything works. So that basically, there is absolutely zero confusion with, anything that, you know, you guys don't understand and stuff like that. Like I said, even in, like I said in the description, if there is anything you ever need to know about this, Discord or, you know, in the comments, just put a comment and I will respond to it. You know what I mean? And then at the same time, in the Discord or in the comments, put your guesses within the next 2 weeks to have a chance to win my money at the end of the season. You know what I mean? Villa 20th, 19th and 18th. What about Villa first? How are you going to feel about that? I'm not putting them first, by the way. That's just a hint. But, yeah, like, end of the day, I think it's time we get started. You know what I mean? Like I said, I don't want to sit here and dwell too long. End of the day, I've given you guys, you know, a good almost 20 minutes of streaming just trying to explain everything and make sure to have people have a chance to be here. I put the pings in the Discord, so if any of the people from the Discord decide to join, then they've got to just read the description and stuff like that. So, yeah. End of the day. In 20th, let's get started here, guys. Who I think is going to finish rock bottom. Now, by the way, it's just guesses, end of the day. They are all guesses, end of the day. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a psychic, but I'm going off of basically a bunch of different factors. I'm trying to do it as correct as I think it's going to be to win as many points as possible. You know what I mean? I'm not just going to throw because of there being money involved. I'm going to do it as I think it's going to be. It's just a bit of fun, end of the day. I don't give a fuck about giving money away to you guys. You guys are loyal. So you deserve it. So, end of the day, I am basing this basically off of just like what I've got to go by. So, like, transfers in, transfers out, the managers, if they've been sacked or whatever, if there's anything going on behind the scenes, like, in terms of, like, you know, some, like, fights going on behind the scene between the board and the manager or whatever, you know what I mean? If the fans aren't happy at the moment or whatever. I'm basically going off of, and obviously, like, you know, what I actually think their squad is and what I think they're capable of, right? So, we're going by a lot of different fucking goddamn factors here. So, in 20th, guys, and rock bottom of the Premier League, and I think, to be honest, they are going to be rock bottom of the Premier League for probably every single fucking goddamn person, and I'm not gonna lie, you kind of have to put them rock bottom, because end of the day, there is nothing to go off of that you think they're going to actually be fine. You know what I mean? There just isn't. There's nothing to go off of. Like, end of the day, I just don't see a way this team has any sort of competing chance. They haven't signed enough. Their team is literally a championship team. And end of the day, they literally came up this season by finishing in the league. I think they finished, 7th in the league in the championship. And then got promoted to the next one by winning 2 playoff games. So, in 20th, guys, is Hull City. And I think that is fair. Like, I don't think they're ready for the Prem. Like, I think when you look at teams like Coventry and Ipswich, they had a good season. They've been here before in the past. And, like, you know, obviously Coventry haven't been here recently, but they dominated in the championship. I don't see a realm where, like, you know, either of them are not ready. You know, they might not do well. They might get relegated, Coventry and Ipswich. But at least they are mentally, like, kind of there. You know what I mean? I don't think Hull City have got anywhere near what they need to have a chance of survival this season. Like, I don't think they're going to break the Derby point record, by the way. Like, I don't think they're that shit. I don't think they're going to get, like, 9 points the whole season. But I don't think they break 20. I'll be 100% real. I think they get, like, 18, 19 points in the entire season combined. Like, I think they'll be lucky to get that. That's my guess, anyway. I think 18 to 19 points by the end of the season is about right. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't see a realm. Like, I don't know if anyone else doesn't agree with me or whatever, but, like, I don't see a realm where Hull City are remotely prepared to compete this season. Like, I just don't see a realm where they can compete. They haven't got the funds. They haven't got the ability and stuff like that. Seriously, Hull 20th, 19th Spurs, 18th Ipswich, 17th Coventry. I wish Spurs finished 19th, bro, but they're not going to finish 19th. By the way, I will say, though, a lot of people are thinking Spurs are getting Champions League football. Let's fucking calm down. You know what I mean? Let's calm down here, all right? Like, we'll get into them in a bit, you know, when we get to that part of the table. But, yeah, Hull 19th, 20th, sorry. There's nothing you can go off of here. End of the day, they're going to enjoy a day out. You know what I mean? This is going to be a season where the fans are going to enjoy their days out, you know, to every away ground and stuff like that. And then they're going to go right back down to the championship, I think. It would shock me more seeing Hull City stay in the Premier League than seeing a team like Villa win the Premier League. You know what I mean? Like, that's how unlikely I think they have a chance. Like, even if they don't finish 20th, I don't think they don't get relegated. You know, like, they're going down, I think. I'm sorry, they just don't have what it takes. They have zero... Like, their team, if you look at what their team is, they have a starting goalie who's actually good. Now, they've just signed one. And then they've got a couple of signings that look all right. And then the rest of their team are just championship players, like McBurney and Millar and fucking Ajayi and Egan, I think, and stuff like that. And it's like, they're just like, they're not bad players. I'm sure they'll give it everything they've got, but everything they've got is not going to be enough when you're going to, like, Man City away, you know what I mean? Or fucking, you know, Arsenal away and shit like that. Like, I'm sorry, it just, I don't see the power. Now, I could be completely wrong here. That's the beauty of football. You know what I mean? Like, I could get every single one of these predictions wrong, but I'm just going by data. I'm going by what I know and what I am believing in. You know what I mean? So, Hull 20th, I don't think I can really put them any higher than that because there is nothing to go by that makes me think they're going to finish anywhere other than rock bottom. Anyone who joins, by the way, if you do want to know, like, how to win the prize and that, just check the description. I'm not going through it all again. But if anyone joins and watches the stream and you know, joins and wonders how you win the prize and stuff like that, just check the description, read the rules of how it works, and then when we're done with all the predictions, I will have guesses come in and we can write it down. Now, 19th in the Premier League. Now, it's not Spurs, Adam. I know you wanted Spurs, but it's not Spurs. All right, let's be real here. Spurs are not going to get relegated now. Their team is better than it was last season. But that doesn't mean they're not going to get fucking a bad position, by the way. Like, these people that are putting Spurs in Champions League fucking things and their fans that are going, oh, we're going to have a title charge. Fuck off. Fuck right off. Do not even try and bring me that kind of crap. You know, like, do not try and bring me that crap around here with Spurs having a title charge and all that shit. Fuck off. Okay? Now, 19th is hard for me. Because I have a team that I do think is going to... I don't think all three promoted teams are going to get relegated. I don't. I think one team will have a little bit of a decent chance, right? And I'll explain why in a bit. But I'm going to go 19th in the Prem. Coventry. I think Coventry, people are predicting them to do better than I think they will. I'm not saying they haven't got players. I'm not saying they haven't got all of this stuff. But it feels to me like Coventry are going to be one of those teams where, like, they were kind of like Southampton when they came up with, like... Who did Southampton came up with what? Like, Luton and Burnley, didn't they? And, like... No, it was who went up? I know it was fucking... Burnley, I think it was Burnley, Ipswich, Luton. And everyone expected Burnley to do well and then Luton to get rock bottom. And Luton finished 18th that season and Burnley got 20th. You know what I mean? And, like, end of the day, I feel like Coventry are going to kind of be like that. Where it's like, everyone's expecting them to be able to survive because of what Sunderland did last season. You know what I mean? And how they managed to save themselves and all that crap. I just don't see Coventry doing well. I don't think that Frank Lampard's a bad manager. I just think that he is going to get outclassed. Like, you've got to understand, this season, there is a lot of new managers in the league. So there's going to be a lot of manager bounces. You know, there is a lot of managers in the league that are managing their first ever season. Now, Frank Lampard has been in the Prem before, but I just don't see a lot of their players being great. Now, they're going to finish comfortably above Hull. I think Hull are rock bottom by a way. Like, I think they'll get like 15, 16 points, and then I think Coventry will get somewhere between like 25, 26. That's my guess, right? I just don't see Coventry surviving. Now, that's just me. I might be wrong about that. They might do a Sunderland. But that's my personal prediction. I can only go by data. And my data, at the moment, says to me that I don't think that they are safe. You know what I mean? That is what my data is telling me. I just don't see them being this safe outfit. Now, you've said Newcastle 18th. Oh, wait, no. Oh, no. You put Newcastle 16th. Okay. Newcastle 16th, yeah? Very interesting. But, yeah. And fair enough. You know what I mean? If that's your prediction, that's your prediction. Yeah. End of the day, I just think Coventry haven't got enough. I think they're new to the season. Oh, you're doing your prediction, are you? You know, you're putting all of yours in your place in the chat. Fair enough, bro. You know, end of the day. But the thing is, your job in this to win the prize isn't to do your own prediction and see how many you get right. It's to predict how many you think I'm going to get right by each correct position being worth 1 point. So, like, if Hull actually finished 20th, that's a point. If Coventry finished 20th and Hull finished 19th, that's 0 points. So, I guess you're just playing along, doing your own predictions, because the guesses at the end are based on my guesses, not, like, how much better you do than me. But fair enough. I mean, you know, at least I'm seeing your predictions here, bro. You know what I mean? Like, 15th Forest, that's an interesting choice. We'll see where I put them, you know what I mean? But, yeah, I don't know. I just don't think Coventry have got enough. Like, they've got some decent players in there, 100%. Like, Van Ewick at right back is solid. Carl Rushworth did bits for them last season. He's in their goal. You got Haji Wright up front, I think. Solid striker. Got the ability to play and stuff like that. They've got a couple of other decent players. The problem I have with Coventry is I think they're going to be just a classic. They come up first in the championship. They dominate the championship. Kind of like Burnley. Was it Burnley last season or the season? Did they go down this season? Burnley. They did, didn't they? Yeah. Kind of like Burnley last season, where Burnley finished top of the championship comfortably, and then they finished 20th in the Prem. Even though the other two, like Sunderland, who came up through the playoffs, got, what, 8th? 7th? 6th, actually, I think? I don't know, one of them, because they got Europa League. I just think Coventry won the championship and are now going to sit there and go, well, now we don't have what we need. You know what I mean? We don't have the ability to compete at this level, you know? Like, they don't have the ability. They don't have the facilities for that, big man. You know what I mean? So, yeah, Coventry 19th. Now, 18th position for me, and my prediction of 18th, where I think it's going to go. You guys might be thinking, oh, you're going to put Ipswich at 18th because it's all the relegated. No. I think Ipswich will survive this season. I think they will survive. Now, they're only going to be in this part, Ipswich, by the way, like either from 13th to 17th. They're not going to get, like, you know, a Sunderland charge or anything. But I think Ipswich are going to survive this season. If you've looked at Ipswich's transfer business, they've done a lot of transfers. They've been prepping for the Premier League. They've got a bunch of like 20 to 30 million pound signings coming in. I think they've spent like 120 million. Like, I think when you look at teams of like the most spending in the summer, they're like 8th of all teams. Now, that could go horrifically wrong because none of the players know how to play with the others. But I think the fact they've got all their business done quite early, they've got a bunch of new players in, and they've got a new manager, by the way. Gary O'Neil is obviously now their manager. Now, that could go very wrong. Ipswich could easily finish 20th. Easily finish 20th. I just don't think they will. I think that they will just about survive. I have them in the middle of lower mid. That's where I think they'll finish. So my relegated team, my team that I think is going to go down. Now, there's a few contenders here, I'll say that, right? Because there is a lot of teams here that I think are going into this season pretty weak. For instance, I think you've got teams like Brentford, Crystal Palace, Fulham, Leeds. Leeds have done quite well, actually. So, yeah, Brentford, Fulham, Crystal Palace, Newcastle, you know, they're all going into the season pretty weak, in my opinion. However, my prediction of who I think is going to get relegated, and I've said this ever since they hired him as a manager, and I will admit, their signing that they just did might change that prediction correctly. But I think they have signed a manager that is going to be the worst manager in the league. I do. I personally just do. All right? Now, realistically, this was a toss-up. But I think ever since this manager got signed, and it's not recent, by the way, it's not Newcastle. I don't think they'll get relegated. I think they'll be down there, but I don't think they'll get relegated. Their manager will get sacked. That's comfortable. But I don't think they'll get relegated. Now, my prediction for the relegated team is Fulham. Now, I have Fulham getting relegated this season. I have them in 18th. And the reason for that is if you think of what has happened at Fulham this season, right? Think about what they did last season. Think about all their players that did well and whatever, right? So, like, some of their best players last season were Harry Wilson, their best player, gone. Free transfer off to Leeds United, you know? Probably their best striker last season, Raul Jimenez, gone. Went to Wolves, you know, because he's a bit old now and stuff like that. Then you think of, like, a couple of other players that were okay. like Anthony Robinson. Is he going to be good enough this season? I don't know. Also, is he going to stay? He might leave before the season starts. Same with Sander Berge, another player who's decent in midfield, but again, has also been linked away to a bunch of new other clubs. So, the reason I have Fulham in 18th is, end of the day, they do not have much going on. I'll be 100% real. They've not been signing a huge amount. They've only signed a couple of signings. Now, the one thing that may change this prediction is that they have signed Gonzalo Garcia from Real Madrid. Now, that is an incredible signing, by the way. That is an absolutely fantastic signing. The problem I have is I don't think his goals are going to be enough to give them survival. I think he'll score a solid amount. I think he'll get in the 12 to 13 Prem goals area. But that doesn't save you. Strikers have done that before and been relegated. Charlie Austin did it at QPR. You know, a couple of other strikers, Delap did it all right at Ipswich and stuff. You know what I mean? And then went to Chelsea and did shit. But you get my point. It's like, having a one good striker is not enough. You need to have a team. And if the players around him cannot create for the striker, you're not going to win. You know what I mean? Like, unless somehow the players around him gel instantly at being able to get Gonzalo Garcia the ball, I don't think he'll do that well. Because Gonzalo Garcia doesn't remind, like, from what I've seen of him at Real Madrid, he doesn't remind me of a player that can do it all himself. He doesn't remind me of a player that can, like, dribble through the entire fucking back line by himself and score a solo goal. To me, he's more of like a Haaland type. Not as good as Haaland, by the way, nowhere near. But he's more of a Haaland type. He's someone who can, you know, find good space in the box and then get on the end of a cross. He's quite tall, quite big, and stuff like that. But you got to understand, unlike in Real Madrid, where he had a bunch of space in the box, in Premier League, there's not going to be any space. You're playing for Fulham against low block teams. They are going to sit deep and make you struggle. They're going to make you struggle while they sit deep and just enjoy. So unless he can find the space to get into for a cross, I think it's going to be a struggle for them. And the main reason I have them relegated, by the way, is Alvaro Arbeloa, as the manager, I think he's first sacked. I honestly believe he is the first manager that's going to get sacked. I think he is going to have a stinking start. I don't know why. I just think Fulham are going to get like 5 to 6 losses straight away in a row, and then first international break, he's gone. Because I don't think Fulham are going to be patient. Because end of the day, they've had Marco Silva for the past, like, what, 4 or 5 years now? And he's obviously gone Benfica now. And I feel like their ability to stay in the Prem was very dependent on Marco Silva. I think ever since they got back into the Premier League, Silva's been their manager, has he not? And he's kept them in the league at around the 10th mark all the time. I think Arbeloa is not going to understand Premier League football. Because he wasn't brilliant at Real Madrid, and that was Real fucking Madrid. Now, I understand the egos made it hard for him at Real Madrid. I'll give him that. But at the same time, if he went to a different La Liga team, I think he would have done all right, because he knows Spanish football. I don't think Arbeloa knows shit about how the Premier League, how defensive and how set-piece reliant the Premier League is. You have to be good at set pieces. You have to be good at defending set pieces. You have to be good at defending in general. And you also have to be good at counter-attacking them when they make a mistake. I think that's the only thing he's going to be good at, the counter-attacking part. But if teams sit deep and let him have the ball, I just don't think he has an answer, personally. That's my prediction, all right? I just don't see him having all of the you know, tools necessary, dare I say the word, to be able to actually compete. Now, that's just me. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right. I don't know. But all I know is I just don't believe Arbeloa is the guy. Now. Oh, fucking hell. Sorry, guys. 17th. And the team to finish 17th for me. I am putting Crystal Palace in 17th. Now, the reason I'm putting Crystal Palace in 17th and that they will just about survive, right, is if you think of the window so far, what's Palace signed? Like, what have they signed? Like, end of the day, Crystal Palace have signed what? They've signed, like, I can't even think of a signing. Have they signed anyone? Like, can you name me a Palace signing? Because I'm thinking of it, and I can't think of one. Obviously, they still have some decent players, but they've lost, you know, a lot of their star power now, like, from last season. Obviously, Glasner's not there anymore, because he wasn't getting backed, and he didn't like the fact that he wasn't getting backed. And now you look at their players, and it's like, they've lost Lacroix to Chelsea. They've lost, I think they lost someone else. I can't remember who. I think it was a midfielder. Either that or it's a winger. But it's like, all Palace have now, right, is a new manager who I'll admit it, I don't know who their new manager is. I know nothing about him. All I know is he is very defensive, apparently. Apparently, he's a Spanish manager that manages in the La Liga, and he is an incredibly defensive manager. Apparently, he's like... So he's going to be a pain in the ass to play against, and that's why I think he'll stay in the Prem. I don't think that they'll get relegated, but I think... the fact that he's defensive is the only reason. I think they'll get enough 0-0s to win. The question is, can they score with that? But yeah. Boom, 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 boom. Mateta's in my room. Exactly, Adam, bro. Now, that's another point I was going to say. If you think about a lot of the players at Crystal Palace, not many of them want to stay as well, I'm pretty sure. Like, I'm pretty sure... Adam Wharton would leave if anyone actually made an offer for them. The problem is, Adam Wharton is being valued at the same price as Elliot Anderson because he already has been sold. So people are going, well, I don't want to pay 120 million for Adam Wharton because he's not worth that. You know what I mean? And so, like, he's not going to go anywhere, but I don't know if he's going to be that happy at staying at Palace. And then other than that, you've also got to remember they are also still going to be in Europe, by the way. Like, because they won the Conference League. So they're in the Europa League. So they're going to have to juggle with Europe. They've got Mateta, who does not want to be there. Like, he's made that quite clear last season he doesn't want to be there. He's in the final year of his contract now, Mateta. He's either going to run it down and not really want to play for them, or he's going to leave in the final couple of weeks. Right? Now, so there's that. Ismaila Sarr, who I also don't know if he really wants to be there, but again, he's probably one of their better players. And then other than that, you've got Munoz at right back, who's solid, and that's it. Because their centre-backs are basically non-existent now. They've got no Lacroix, no Gehi, so they only have what? Like Chris Richards from USA? Like, that's not enough. And then like a couple of other youngsters or whatever. Tyreek Mitchell isn't crazy good. I mean, he's alright. He's, you know, average. Their midfield, apart from Wharton, is not great. Because they've got no Eze and anything like that. And if Mateta isn't firing and Ismaila Sarr isn't there anymore, let's say Mateta and Ismaila Sarr leave, which I don't think they will, or at least both of them, but let's say neither of them want to be there and they're not in the best of moods and stuff, their backups are Brennan Johnson and Jorgen Strand Larsen. That is not good. That is shit. So if you're contesting with Europe and Carabao and FA Cup and the Premier League with that squad... There's a reason Glasner jumped ship. You know what I mean? There is a reason Oliver Glasner jumped ship. He does not want to be there anymore because he knows there is zero backing there. You know what I mean? He's not getting backed. And it is being made apparent this summer because they've signed nothing. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's my opinion. I think... I just personally don't think they have the facilities to do anything, really, in my opinion. Now, that might just be a bit rude of me or a bit cruel or whatever. That's just my opinion. I don't think that they have anywhere near the power levels of that you might think they have. You know what I mean? I just don't see it. Maybe that's just me, like I said. Maybe I'm being cruel to them. I don't know. But I just don't see them having a chance of competing. You know what I mean? Like... I put them anywhere in here. I might change them. Right now, I have them 17th. Now, 16th. This is the first one I agree with you with, Adam. I'm putting Newcastle in 16th. Okay? I agree with you there. I do think Newcastle will finish 16th. I think Fabian Yazel, or whatever his name is, I think he'll get sacked. He's probably in my top 3 picks for first sack. I'm not going to lie. Like... I do think he is in my top 3 picks for, like, first sacking. So, yeah, I think I think Yazel or Yasel, I think, is not going to have the time. You got to understand, Newcastle had already played half of their preseason games before they sacked Eddie Howe. They sacked Eddie Howe halfway through preseason. Well, they didn't sack him. He left because he wasn't happy with what the board was doing. He left because every good player was getting sold. I don't blame him. Like, Newcastle this summer have lost Bruno Guimaraes, Anthony Gordon, and Sandro Tonali, and they also have 2 unhappy players of Joe Linton and Lewis Hall, I think, who both want to leave if they have a chance to. So it's like, I don't blame Eddie Howe for jumping ship. Like, it's a career suicide to take that job right now, and that's why I think Yazel has no chance. I give him a 1 in 10 of getting, like, Europe. That's my honest opinion. I give him a 1 in 10 chance of getting Europe. And that's any Europe, by the way. That's including Conference League. Like, I just don't see anywhere near the levels of ability in that squad. Like, I don't think Newcastle have signed a single Prem proven player, have they? Like, every single player they've signed has been outside of the Prem. Like, they've signed a couple of wingers that are not Prem. They've signed a goalie that's not Prem. They signed, I think, a defender that's not Prem. And then they've signed a couple of midfielders that are not Prem. So, I'm not saying all their signings are going to do bad, because some people adapt better than others. But that's my point. You know, they don't know how to play in the Prem. You know, they have no experience. So a couple of them, I think, are going to be shocking. Like, I'll be 100% real here. A couple of them are going to be absolutely fucking shocking. You know what I mean? So, I look at Newcastle, man, and I think, wow, like, if I was Lewis Hall, I'd be getting on my phone to my agent and going, bro, like, you know, if these other clubs want me, which it's clear and obvious, and it's been reported by people like Ornstein that we are interested in Lewis Hall. Like, United are interested in Lewis Hall if Newcastle make him available, or if he makes himself available by requesting a transfer. So, if I was Lewis Hall, I'd sit here and go, mate, United are there, you know what I mean? Like, I'll you know, get the fuck out. Because, like, if they get relegated and Lewis Hall has a shit season, no one in the big 6 teams are going to want him anymore. Because he won't have done enough. You know what I mean? Like, maybe they'll want him, but they won't get him as a starter. Like, he'll be a backup to all the big teams. Like, right now, if he came United, right now, he'd be our starting left-back. But if he stays at Newcastle for a year and does, like, a Baleba-esque season, where it's like he just has a shit season, Newcastle don't do well, they get absolutely shat on all the year, Lewis Hall gets a bad season, he's not going to be wanted by us or by any big team. Because they're going to go, well, you know, he clearly can't hack it. You know what I mean? He's a team player, not an individual. You know what I mean? And you need individuals that are good, not just, oh, they have to be good when the team's good. You know what I mean? So, I just think that if I was Lewis Hall, I'd get the fuck out of there right now. If I was Lewis Hall, I would jump ship right now and get the hell out of that bloody goddamn club. Because that is just it's an issue, bro. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to have issues if you stay around there. You stay at that club, you are going to have problems. You know, like, jump the sinking ship before it sinks. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I have Newcastle there in 16th. 15th. Now, this, guys, is where Ipswich is finishing. This is where I have Ipswich finishing. I haven't really got much to say about them. I think that Gary O'Neill won't be their manager by the end of the season, but I do think they'll have a manager bounce. Like, I think that some reason they will sack him. I don't know why. But what I do believe is, I believe that they are signing a lot of good players. They're getting a lot of players. They're getting a lot of... Oh, you put Brighton in 12th, have you? You're still going on that, bro. Very nice. But I don't hate that prediction, by the way. But yeah, end of the day, I just think that Ipswich, this is where they sit. You know, this is where I think they're going to finish. I don't see much more from them personally. Now, I'm not saying they're going to do bad, but I just think, like, because, like, this for them would be a win. Staying in the Premier League and getting 15th in the table, that would be a big dub for them. But that's my prediction. I just think I don't see a realm where Ipswich go, oh, you know what? We're going to come out of this season strong. You know what I mean? Like we're going to come out of this season with a European title charge. You know what I mean? Like Sunderland. No, it's not going to happen. You know, I'm sorry, it's just not. But they are signing a lot of good players. They've got a lot of players that are like, you know, dare I say the word, they've signed a lot of players that are like Prem proven. Like they've got Lukic from Fulham. I think they signed someone from Burnley, I think, or something like that. They got like another couple of signings. Then they've gone and signed a few other people from outside of England and that. And like, they're setting up right. It's just, can Gary O'Neill manage that? You know, is he going to be able to get them playing football? And Gary O'Neill's one of them managers where he's a bit 50-50. Like, he's done really well in the past at Bournemouth, then had a really shit season at Bournemouth, then did well at Wolves, then had a shit season at Wolves. So it's like, what season are we going to get of Gary O'Neill here? You know? Like, is this going to be a prime Gary O'Neill, or is this going to be, you know, a prime Gary O'Neill in the wrong way? You know what I mean? So, yeah. But like I said, I don't have much to say about Ipswich. I think that would be a strong position if they finish there. That's just my prediction. They could completely... Ipswich are one of those teams where it's the hardest to predict them, in my opinion. Because all of the signings they made and the new manager could mean that they go on a bit of a charge and stay in the league. Or they could literally do the worst in the league and finish 20th. They could. Very easily. But... I don't know. I just think this is where they sit, in my opinion. I think this is where they sit. I think they can't do much more than that. 15th, solid. You know what I mean? Now, 14th. Now, you had Brentford at 14th. And I don't fully agree with you. I don't think you're insanely wrong. But I don't fully agree with you. I don't think Brentford are far off that, by the way. I will say. But what I think who's coming next, guys, I think this is where Everton finish. That's my prediction. I don't think Everton have made enough signings to compete with other teams this season. All right? I'm putting Everton in 14th. I think Moyes will get sacked because they won't like it. I think Moyes will get sacked. You put Bournemouth in 10th, fair enough. And I don't think he'll get sacked early. I think he'll get sacked very late. Because I think they'll have a decent start to the season and then start crumbling. Because if you think of Everton's team, they have some stunning players in there. Jordan Pickford in goal, brilliant goalkeeper. Tarkowski at the back, very underrated, in my opinion. You look at a couple of other people. They've managed to keep James Garner. Because obviously there's too many midfielders on the market and no one really looks at him. And they also overprice him, just like they did with Jared Branthwaite, who's now pile of shite. But you know what I mean? Like James Garner, solid. You know, they've kept him in there. They've got Kiernan Dewsbury Hall, solid player. Jack Grealish, I think, is still there, isn't he? I don't know if he's there still. I think he's still there. I think they signed him permanently, didn't they? I don't know where Grealish... I think he's there, because he was on loan from City, and I think he stayed there, is he not? But I'm not 100% sure about that. Now, for the moment, they've kept Iliman Ndiaye. That might change, because he's had bids from Saudi, but at the moment, he's still there. If they keep him, they might get higher than this, but I don't think they will. I think he'll leave. I think if he gets no other offers, I think he'll go Saudi. It just screams of a Saudi signing to me. Like a Somerville who's gone there. It screams of someone that wants that money. You know, he wants that bag. Right, you're racking these off now. You're racking off your predictions now. You're going to have to save your predictions now. You're going to have to put your ones in to see how well you do when the season ends. You know what I mean? With all these predictions, you're going to have to put them in your own little, like, notepad of, like, where you've got everyone. So that when it gets to the end of the season, you can brag to me if you get them all right. You know what I mean? But, yeah, I just think they've done fair enough. By the way, one of the best signings in the summer, Hayden Hackney. Middlesbrough Hayden Hackney for £20 million in this fucking goddamn... in this society of window. Ace signing from Everton for Hayden Hackney. That's a brilliant signing. I'll give him that. Fair fucking dues. You know what I mean? Fair fucking dues. That's a great signing. I think they're still going to struggle up front right now because realistically their strikers are still Tieno, Barry and Beto. That's just not good enough. And if you lose Iliman and Jai, your forwards are not there. You've got a good midfield. You've got a good fucking defence. You've got a solid goalie. Your attack is nowhere to be seen. I just think they'll struggle to score. I think with how defensive the teams are this season, and the fact that you got to understand, Everton are one of the teams that benefited the most off of set pieces, because they did the dirty set piece tactics where they try and shove the goalie and that. You're not allowed to do that this year. They've cracked down on that, just like they did in the World Cup. So, I don't think they're going to get to use that anymore. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I don't see them getting any sort of, like, you know, I just don't see where they're going to get their stuff from. So I've got them in 14th. Now, like I said, for anyone who is joining, who doesn't understand the rules of how to win and stuff like that, just check the description. The rules are all there. And then you'll understand why these matter and why it matters and all of that. And, like, you'll understand all of the stuff and everything. You know what I mean? I've tried to explain it best there. So for anyone who doesn't understand, who's watching this in the future or anything like that, just check the description of this stream/VOD and you will see the rules of how to win the 50 quid. Or how to win a prize of your choice, pretty much. Like, now, we've got one more team to put in this section, guys, of who finishes 13th, because we've got 17th, 16th, 15th, 14th, 13th. Now, this is where I've got to figure it out, because there's a few teams who could easily come in here. For instance, the ones I'm probably looking through here, in my opinion, is I'm looking at teams like, can Bournemouth cope in Europe without Iraola? Can Brentford do well enough with, 2 seasons in a row with Keith Andrews? Can Leeds do well enough with, all their signings they've made? Will that hinder them? Can Nottingham Forest do well enough under Glasner, new manager? Can Sunderland handle Europe? You know what I mean? And for me personally, my team that I'm going to put here in 13th, and I don't think this is going to be a negative for them. I think this is where, for me personally, fuck, this is so hard for me to predict. I've got so many teams that I could put in these places. It's so harsh to think who's going to finish 13th. I think, for me personally, 13th position, I'm going to go Brentford. I'm putting Brentford in 13th. All right? That's where I'm putting them. That was hard, but I was only ever going to put Brentford highest of 12th, 11th. And out of all the other teams, I just do think all the other teams are going to finish above them. So I think 13th, I'm putting Brentford. End of the day, I think they've got... They're going to survive comfortably. They're nowhere near a relegation battle. Like, I think the relegation battle teams are going to be these 3, and then, like, these 2. Maybe Ipswich will get drawn into it. Like, that's my prediction of a relegation battle. I don't think Brentford will be anywhere near a relegation battle. I think what Brentford will do is they'll do kind of what they did last season, where they'll start incredibly well, get, like, in Europe, and then they'll drop places. And I think they'll just start to drop. Because I just don't think they have quite enough. Now, the one thing I will give Brentford credit for, they have not lost any of their important players this summer. Like, have they lost a single... Because, like, Henderson is not an important player to them. He might be leadership, but he's not important. He's not a good footballer. You know what I mean? So, like, have they lost anyone that actually is a good player? Because, like, they still have their forwards of Igor Thiago, Keane Lewis Potter. Oh, you've got Villa in 7th. Fair enough. Igor Thiago. They've still got Keane Lewis Potter, Kevin Schade, Dango Otara. So, like, they've still got all of those attackers that did pretty solid. They've still got Damsgaard, Yaremchuk. They obviously went and signed... It was Brentford that signed Sangare, wasn't it? Like, Brentford signed that Sangare guy from Lens. I wanted him at United. I'll be real. I wanted Sangare at United. He was in the Ligue 1 team of the season last year. Not like in FIFA or anything, just in real life. He was in the team of the year of last season, in the Ligue 1. He also played in the World Cup for Senegal, I think it was. And he's cracked. He's absolutely... I think he played in the World Cup. Either that or there was a different guy called Sangare, played for Senegal, and it wasn't him. But he is cracked. And I think that he will do really well. They've got a strong team there. I think the place that's going to let them down is the defense. Because you've got to understand, with the new pushing and shoving rules of how they just... The second there's pushing and shoving, they just count it as a free kick now. Like, we're cracking down on that now. I don't think their long throw-in tactic is going to work as well. Because their whole tactic is long throw and then crowd around the goalie and try and put it in. That's not going to happen this year. Unless somehow VAR decide to just be shit, which wouldn't shock me in any way, shape or form. But I don't see them being able to do what they used to do with the long throw-ins and all of that as well. And so, for that reason, I think their defense is probably one of the weakest in the league. Because Coyote defensively isn't crazy. Their left back is not crazy either. I think it was like Rico Henry, or it was like someone else, I can't remember. Their centre backs are nowhere near crazy. Like I personally, I've said this over and over and over and over and over again. I think Nathan Collins is one of the worst centre backs in the Premier League. If you see what he does in games and the mistakes he makes in games, he is easily one of the worst centre backs in Premier League, in my opinion. He's actually shit. Like, I don't know why he keeps getting game time for Brentford. Like, you take him out, you go up 3 positions. Because he won't give you away red cards, he won't give away penalties, and he won't just be a shit player. Now, that might be a personal attack from me. I don't know why I would have a personal vendetta against him. But I just look at someone like Nathan Collins, right, and I go, he is just bad. Like, he is just a bad player. And so, in my opinion, you've got too much air to get higher than this. Now, they can finish 12th, 11th. I did say I had them probably 12th, 11th, but I've changed my mind based on all of the other teams that I have left. Now, 12th. 12th in the league for me. 12th position. In 12th, I have got... Is this where Leeds go? No. 12th, I've got Sunderland. Sunderland go in 12th for me. Now, people have them higher, but I think that they are not going to know. You got to understand, like, they could shock you. They could very easily shock me, right? Because, once again, they're another team that have managed to somehow, even though they got Europe, keep all of their really important players. Like, they haven't lost Xhaka, which they almost did. They haven't lost any of their other really good players, like, you know, Ruth's in goal and fucking... Mukiele, who's solid, and, you know, Alderete, and then they've got, obviously, still other good players, like the Diarra in midfield, Brobby up front, you know, Talby, Isidore, you know what I mean? They've still got all of these solid players. And the one thing I will say is they haven't signed anyone, I don't think. And if they have, it's not a big signing. They've made, like, 1 to 2 signings at max. So... their team is pretty similar, right? Same with their manager being the same as well, right? So, if you want me to be real here, they shocked everyone last season. They were probably one of the shocks of the season, you know what I mean? Because Spurs weren't a shock. They finished 17th the year before, you know what I mean? They were just bad anyway. You've got to sit here and say that Sunderland were probably one of the shocks of the season last season. At the end of the day, they got promoted and finished in Europe in their first season back in the Premier League. Like, they got literally 7th in the Prem after their first year of being out of the Prem. Of being back in it, sorry. That's an incredible achievement. Incredible achievement from Sunderland. But I just think Europe is a different story. You have a soft spot for Sunderland. I do as well. I fully agree with you there. I can agree with you that I have a soft spot for Sunderland. Like, I think their support is unbelievable. Like, the fact that even when they were down in the... You got to remember, Sunderland were in the League One. What, I think like 5 years ago? They only got back into the Championship about 5 years ago. They were in the League One. And even then, with their 50,000 capacity stadium, they were filling it a lot of the time. Like, they have some of the best fan base in the world. I personally, right, I personally think Sunderland are, like, they are a top. I think when people try and do this, like, turn your derby bullshit, where it's like, oh, Newcastle are the bigger club. Fuck that off right now. Sunderland are the bigger club. They're the bigger club than Newcastle. Whenever Newcastle go down, their supporters just go, whine, and they stop going. Sunderland are the bigger club in terms of fans, love for the club. I mean, I think they have won more European trophies, more league titles, I think, as well. They're a bigger club, in my opinion. Can you do me a favour? Yeah, okay, what's the favour, bro? Is it going to be something Villa-related, by chance? Yeah, that's my thing. It's like, I just don't see Sunderland getting higher than in this area. I don't think they're going to get Europe again. That's my main thing, right? Can you send the link to this in the Discord? Can I? What do you mean? Can you send the link to this in the Discord? What, the stream? It's already in the Discord. I have the... What do you mean? Let me explain what you mean by that, and then I'll do it. But yeah, I don't know. It's like end of the day, I think Sunderland have used up a lot of their luck. Now they're not going to get relegated. They're not going to be anywhere near down here. They're not. But I just look at Sunderland and I just look at them and I think, I don't know, man. I don't see. So I can fill the. Oh, you mean like the tier list? You want me to send you the link to the exact tier? Exact tier list. I can do that for you, yeah. I can do that for you. I can send you the link to the tier list, yeah. Yeah, I can do that. But yeah, end of the day, I just think that Sunderland have not got the squad capacity and the know-it-all to understand Europe. Like, I think they're going to sit there and they're going to go, well, I'm not fully understanding how, you know, Europe works yet. You know what I mean? They're not gonna be ready for it, in my opinion. And I think for that reason, 12th is a fair place. You know what I mean? Like, I think that they're going to get in the 12th position. They're going to be more than safe from relegation. I don't think they're going to do bad in Europe, by the way. I just think that they're not going to be able to juggle. You know what I mean? Like, I think they'll easily get probably in Europa League, probably at least quarterfinals of Europa League. But I just don't think they're going to be able to juggle all of the competitions. They're not going to get used to that. Now, 11th in the table. This is where it gets interesting. Because I will just let you in on a hint here, guys. The big six teams of Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, City, United, Spurs, not all of them are in my top six, by the way. I'll just let you know that right now. There's other teams that are in my top six. So there is going to be teams that do not finish in the Champions League positions that are the big six, as quote unquote. And I'll get into who soon, all right? But 11th in the table for me, okay, and this is where I think this is where I think they can probably finish, all right? 11th in the table for me is Brighton. Now, a lot of people are going to sit there and go, Brighton are normally competing for Europe and that. But you got to understand, this season, Brighton have been raided. Like, not raided, like, in terms of all their players, but, like, they haven't got the same team anymore. Like, Van Hecke's not there. They've got Vuskovic now, who, by the way, I think will be better than Van Hecke at Brighton. So that's not a problem position. But they're forward. They don't have any good striker anymore. Can you name me a striker at Brighton that's good? Because Danny Welbeck was their striker. He was their guy. You know what I mean? Danny Welbeck was their guy. He was the guy putting in the goals for Brighton. Who puts in the goals right now? I'm not saying they won't sign a striker, but who puts in the goals for Brighton right now? Other than, like, Mitoma on the wing or Minte on the wing. Like, you got to have a striker. And I just think, unlike in the previous seasons where I predicted them Europe and stuff like that, I just think they are not going to quite understand how to score goals as much. And I think that means that what they'll do is they'll struggle at the start, and then they'll kind of understand it more when it gets to, like, November time. But you got to understand, the amount of points that they will have already lost by November means that they're not going to quite get... Donnie, you got to go sleep. We'll watch this back because I have to wake up early in the morning. Have a good one. Fair enough, bro. You know what I mean? End of the day, remember that you guys have 2 weeks to put in your votes and stuff like that. Of all of the predictions and stuff. I'll try and explain at the end of the stream when I have done every single prediction. And, like, gone through it properly. But, yeah. You know what I mean? I'll try and explain it more when we actually finish it. But, yeah. Brighton are in 11th for me. I just think that that is about where I think they're going to finish. I don't really have much to explain it. I just think... if you want to have a actual, like, if you want to have a proper, like, technical think about it, I just don't see where their goals are going to come from. You know, I just don't see where the goals are going to come from in their team. Because they don't really have a goal scorer anymore with Welbeck gone. You know, like, they don't really have a striker that knows, like how to get a comfortable 15 Premier League goals a season. You know what I mean? And that's what Welbeck was going to get you. He was easily getting in the 10 to 15 mark every year. He's not there now. He's at Chelsea. So it's like, no, I just think they miss out there. Now, top 10. This is interesting. 10th position. Top 10. They've managed to break into the top half. 10th, right? 10th is where I have, and this is interesting, 10th position, I have, oh fuck, which one do I put in 10th? Do I think they're going to finish 10th? This is interesting, man. This is so interesting. 10th position for me, right? And this is just a personal thought of where I think they're going to finish. You got to base it off of all of the things that, you know, you got to base it off of all of the data you have so far of transfers and managers and all of that. I think 10th is going to be Nottingham Forest. And Nottingham Forest going in 10th, the reason for that is, as much as Glasner is going to do well, and he's going to have a push for Europe, you've got to understand that no matter what he does, he's still got to answer to Marinakis. And Marinakis is fucking, I don't want to say it, but he's a cancer to the world. Like, simple as that. He is a cancer to the world. He is an absolutely horrible owner. And have they really replaced Elliot Anderson? Like, I know they went and got Schlager, like, for free and stuff like that. And I know they've gone and got, like, Diamonde at centre-back from Sporting. Solid signing, by the way. And they've, like, obviously kept Morgan Gibbs-White and, you know, like, kept a couple of their other good players, like Sangare and stuff. But I look at it and I'm just like, I just don't think they can get Europe with that squad. I think Glasner can only perform miracles once or twice. Like, go understand, the squad that Glasner had to get Europe and win the FA Cup and do all of that, he had a better squad than this with Forest. Like, he had Eze, he had fucking Elise, you know, he had Mateta in his prime. He had Gehi, he had Munoz, he had Dean Henderson, all of these, like, really solid players. And then they got raided. They lost Eze, they lost Elise, they lost Gehi, they lost all of these other good players. And the board never backed him. And I feel like you've gone to another team where the board are not really going to give you what you want. You know what I mean? Like, because they're a little bit of a dodgy board, you know? And, like, yeah, they made a couple of signings this summer, but they're not crazy good. So it's like, I think Glasner can only pull them up so much. He can only get them as high as he thinks he can get them. So, yeah, I don't know. I think end of the day, he's going to be able to get them high enough. And I think he's then going to understand that the board are just not going to give him what he wants. And he's going to go, well, I'm not a big fan of this, you know, and he's now stuck at them, you know. So I just look at it and I'm like, I don't see a realm where Nottingham Forest get into Europe. I don't. I think they'll be up there. I think they could finish easily, like, lower to mid. They could also finish maybe 9th to 8th. I just don't see them getting into 6th, 7th, you know, or anywhere near the UCL. I just don't see it. I don't, personally. Like, I don't think they've got enough in their locker to be able to do that. 9th position. 9th position. This is where it starts to get interesting, guys. I'll be 100% real. This is where it starts to get very, 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 very interesting. For me, personally, 9th position is going to Bournemouth. Oh, or is it? No, I changed my mind. Bournemouth are going 8th or 9th, by the way. I'm not putting them higher than that. But there's another team that I think will finish 8th to 9th. And I'm trying to figure... I know which two are finishing 8th to 9th. Or I know what I think is going to finish 8th to 9th. I'm just trying to figure out which one of these players I think is going to be... Or which one of these teams is going to finish. Because 8th... You got to understand, guys, that 8th is Conference League. Like, if the UCL gets the 5 places every season, like it always does, Europa will then be 6th and 7th, and then 8th is conference. Unless, obviously, one of the teams that are in Europa gets Champions League by winning the Europa League. You know what I mean? And then it goes to 9th. And so, I'm trying to think who I think is going to get in here. You know what? I'm going out on a limb here. And this is risky. But at the end of the day, it's very rare that a season... I mean, how long has it been, literally? How many seasons has it been since the apparent big 6 teams of Arsenal, United, Liverpool, City, Chelsea, and Tottenham have finished top 6? How many seasons? Because it hasn't been... I don't know if it's been since, like, fucking 2014, 15, maybe? Because, like, since then, Villa have always had a bit of a sneak in. Newcastle have had a sneak in. You've had other times where teams like fucking goddamn Bournemouth have had a sneak in, and, you know, like, a couple of other teams have had a sneak in. And there's always one team that has a bit of a stinker. And this is risky, by the way. This is really risky for me to put them here. I'm putting Liverpool in 9th. I'm putting Liverpool in 9th. Now, that is ballsy. That is ballsy. But I'm being real here, guys, okay? You have got to understand, there is not much for me to go off of in pre-season predictions. But what I have seen from Liverpool so far, I don't see them doing well. And I don't think it's Iraola's fault. I think Iraola is going to be the best part of that fucking squad. But you look at that fucking squad. What have they got? Like, how many world-class players do Liverpool have in that squad? I can answer that for you. 2. At best, 2. And that's Van Dijk and Szoboszlai. That's it. Every one of their players is gone. They've lost Salah, they've lost Konate, they've lost Robertson this summer. You know? Salah, Konate, Robertson, all gone on a free. You know? And yet, they've not signed anyone. They've signed no one. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be a dickhead here to Liverpool or Liverpool fans or anything, but they've signed no one. They've not signed anyone. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be a dick. But, yeah, like... sorry, guys. Just wanted to check to make sure it was working and stuff. But they've signed nothing. What have they signed? They have... like, Liverpool have signed Jeremy Jacquard, who they already signed in January, who's just a French centre-back from the French league. Not a bad player, but he's not, you know, a Premier League proven or anything. And then other than that, they've signed, I think, like, 1 youth player and Victor Munoz, who is, a player who can play on the wing. Now, I looked at something, by the way. Victor Munoz is in, and this is a funny stat that I saw, and it's true. If Liverpool start the season with Munoz at right wing and Gakpo at left wing, that is 2 of, by the way, out of the top 5 players in all of the top 5 leagues, that is 2 of the worst wingers in the top 5 leagues at converting chances. Their conversion rates are both like, I think they're like 9% out of the amount of shots taken and like 10%. They're like 2 of the worst wingers at finishing. So like, you're then relying on Isak or Ekitike being the only goal scorer. Now, Ekitike's not back yet. He's still injured because of obviously the kind of ACL or cruciate ligament injury he got before the World Cup. So they've got Isak. Isak wasn't good last season, and they had fucking Salah in the team last season. So what's he doing with this fucking set of players? You've got a team where you've got Alisson, who's never fit, Mamadashvili, who's very average, Jeremy Jacquard, who's a complete mystery if he's even going to be good next to Van Dijk. Kerkez, I think, will improve because he's been under Iraola at Bournemouth, so I think he'll actually do better this season. But Frimpong is a pile of shit, and even the Liverpool fans agree with that. Their midfield is aging. Like, Szoboszlai's brilliant, but then you've got Curtis Jones, who's having problems with the captaincy armband and all that bollocks in pre-season. And there's a lot of drama going on about that, and how Liverpool fans don't want him anymore. Gravenberch is pretty good, but he also is having to fill in probably at centre-back if someone gets injured. McAllister's still at the World Cup at holidays, so he's not even back in pre-season yet. And then you're looking at Gakpo, Chiesa, Rio and Gamoa, who, by the way, I think is going to do bits. I think he'll bench Gakpo for all the season. And then Isak. I don't see them getting Europe. I don't. I think they'll get conference at a push. Now, again, I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong, but I could be wrong about any of these. Realistically, there is a 0.11111111111 or 0.000000001% chance that Hull win the Premier League. They're not going to, but there's a chance. You know, it's not like it's physically impossible. It's just a lowest percentage possible. So, like, yeah, Liverpool do have a chance to win the Prem. Yeah, they do have a chance to get the UCL. But if you're going by logic of what they've done this summer, their fans are pissed off. Like, they've signed fuck all in terms of players. They've not replaced Salah. They've not replaced Konate because Jeremy Jacquard was already signed before they even knew if Konate was leaving. They've not replaced Konate. Like, he's not been replaced. You know what I mean? Like, he is still... Like, Jeremy Jacquard was meant to be the backup. He's now the starter, and now they need a backup. So they've not signed shit all. And then you look at it, and it's like, well... You know, they're also having problems in preseason with the captaincy issue. I think they've lost their last 2 fucking friendly games. I think they lost to Leeds and then another team. I know they lost to Leeds because they were 2-0 up at half-time and lost 4-2. Now, again, there's nothing to go off of there, by the way. It's preseason. But just with all of the negativity surrounding the club from the fans, the board, and all of that crap, I think they're going to have a struggle. I think they're going to have a struggle for the first half of the season. Now, if Iraola gets sacked, they're stupid. I don't think, unlike with all the other teams where I've said they're going to get sacked and then they're going to, you know, like, go on a, like, you know, a bounce back, I think Liverpool will be the opposite. If they sack Iraola, the fans are going to go apeshit and their season will crumble. So I don't think they'll sack Iraola. I think they'll stick with him. But I do think that they will have a season to forget here. Because I just don't see the power behind Liverpool. I don't see, looking at that team, a team that's ready to compete in the Champions League, FA Cup, Carabao Cup, and Premier League. I don't. Their backup squad could be a team that would probably get relegated. Like, if you put all of their backup players in a team and made them a separate Premier League team, like, what would their backup players be, right? So, Ekitike is injured, so their striker wouldn't be Ekitike right now. It would be Isak as their starting striker, and then they'd have, like, a youth player as a backup striker. You'd then have Gakpo on the left wing, because Rio and Gamoa is probably their starting left winger. Right wing would be what? Chiesa? Then you've got probably what? Harvey Elliott, Curtis Jones, and fucking Endo in midfield. And then you've got Konstantinos Simakis, the Greece guy, at left back. Callum Ramsey, or because Conor Bradley's injured, so Calvin Ramsey. And then what? Leone and Joe Gomez with Mamadashvili. That gets relegated. That gets, like, that probably gets 19th, maybe 18th in the Prem. So if any of them big players get injured, if they lose Szoboszlai, Van Dijk, any of these big boys, even Rio and Gamoa, to be honest, they have nothing in their squad. You know what I mean? Now, I don't think that they will end this summer getting no more signings. I do think that they will get signings, but I think they're going to panic buy. Like, I do believe they'll get Barcola. But I think it'll be one of them where PSG want the 140 million, and I think Liverpool will panic. And they'll go, fuck it, 125 million. He's not worth that. I'm sorry, Barcola is not worth that. You know what I mean? But I think they'll panic. And I think that's going to make them struggle. That's just my opinion. I don't know. I just look at it and I'm like, I don't see them getting Europe. So I have them in 9th. All right. Now, Bournemouth were 8th. I did have them in 8th. I was going to put them the other way around of Bournemouth and Liverpool. And I think it's going to be one of them where they're both going to battle to try and get conference and save their season. But I don't think either of them are going to manage it. Unless, like I said, obviously because we get 5 places in the Champions League, it would then be technically one of these would get Conference League. So it would probably be Bournemouth who gets Conference League unless they win the Europa League and then it goes down to Liverpool and stuff. So, like, this is my point. It's like, I'm not saying Liverpool won't get at least Conference League, but I don't see them getting any good fucking goddamn positions other than that. Now, I don't really have much I need to say about Bournemouth. I already predicted Bournemouth. Bournemouth's position and finishing and all of that. In advance. I already predicted where I'm going to put them, where I think that they're going to finish and stuff. And I think end of the day, there's not really much I have to say about them. Like, I think Bournemouth, they have done the right things this summer. Obviously, they've lost a couple of players. They lost Senesi on a free transfer. And then, who else did they lose? I think they lost like a winger, didn't they? Or something like that. I know they lost someone else. And then obviously they were planning to get, like, they weren't planning, but like people were trying to raid them. You know, people were trying to raid them for Alex Scott. People were trying to raid them for, obviously, People wanted Adrian Truffaut at left back. People wanted Krupi before the injury. And people wanted all of these players. And they've done a good job at keeping all of them. And that's why I think that they'll be all right under Marco Rose. Now, Marco Rose is not a class manager. He's an all right manager. He's definitely better than all of the newer managers in the other teams, like Palace and Newcastle and all that. So he's definitely above them. But I just think they're going to do pretty similar to what they did last season. I think they'll do a little bit worse, and that's why I have them 8th, not 6th. But I think that they will do similar. They'll be up there. You know, they'll be up there. They'll be in and around. They're obviously playing Europa League football, which means they've got to juggle with that. But I think they'll do all right in it. I think they're more prepared for Europa League football than Sunderland are. I'll say that. You know, they've also made a couple of decent signings, obviously. Like, they signed... who did they sign? They signed a striker to replace... Krupi while he's injured. And then they obviously still have Rayan and that as well. They signed Antonio Silva from Benfica as a centre-back. So that's a really solid signing. And I think they've got the strength to definitely get 8th. Now, 7th, Spurs. This is why I am saying that Spurs fans thinking they're going to get in top fucking goddamn 4, Champions League football and all that crap, right? Spurs fans that think they're getting Champions League football are off your head. Like, you are going to get Europe. You will be easily getting Europe. You can get into fucking goddamn 7th. All right, you can definitely get into Europe. You can probably get Europa League football because of the fact that the 5th place is going to go to Champions League, which means you can probably get Europa League football. That's where you're getting. All right. Now, I'm not hearing anyone out. I don't care how many more players you sign. I don't care if you go and get Savinho. I don't care if you go and get Gakpo from Liverpool. I don't give a shite. Sign all those players you want. That's not getting you higher than 7th. Because I think Spurs are doing a thing where they're signing more quantity than quality. Now, they've signed some quality. For instance, Robertson, great experience at left back. Brings you a bit of experience in the dressing room. Senesi, solid player. Good backup. Van Hecke, he'll do all right. He's under his old manager. Now, he won't be, in my opinion, better than Vuskovic, who they sold, which is one of the reasons why I think they're not going to be as good. Because I think if they just kept Vuskovic and left Van Hecke alone, they would have been in a better position. But they've signed Van Hecke, solid player. Their midfield, I think, is going to be weird. I think Tonali's going to do enough. I don't think he'll do bad, but I think he'll do enough. I think Mateus Fernandes is going to struggle. I don't think he's going to be bad, but I think he's going to be one of the more disappointing transfers, especially considering they spent 100 million euros on him. 100 million euros on Fernandes, you've wasted your money there, I'll be honest. He's a 50 to 60 million pound player, and then you're looking at a player that's probably worth their money. You've overspent by a good 40 mil there. You know what I mean? I'll be honest. Like, I just see it as, I think you've not got your best player there, and then you've also got, if you sign Savinho and Gakpo and think that's going to upgrade your winger positions, you're drunk. Neither of those players can finish. They can dribble, they can't finish, they can't pass really either. So you're going to sign wingers that don't know how to do what a winger needs to do, which is score goals, compete, be fucking helpful. They don't know how to score. So it's like, fair enough. If they went and got Krupi, by the way, which they were linked with until he got injured, then I would have had them in fucking goddamn 5th. I would have got them in top 5. Because that would have been a difference maker. But you look at their forwards now, right? Even if they add Savinho and Gakpo to that, you've got striker position, which has what? You have Solanke, Richarlison, and who else? Am I forgetting a striker here, or is that it? Like, they don't really have a striker. Their wingers are injury prone. I mean, Savinho and Gakpo aren't, but they're going to be, they're not great. Kudus is injury prone. Tell is not crazy. Madison's injury prone in midfield. Same with Kulusevski. Mateus Fernandes apparently is now injury prone because he's got a fucking injury. Tonali's obviously really good. And then you've got a defense that, I think will improve. I think the defense is going to get them higher than they have been. Because their defense has been bollocks. They have been absolute shit in the past, God knows how many seasons. And I think now that defense is going to improve. They're going to get somewhere. Because I'll give them this. Porro, Spence, Van der Ven, and fucking Van Hecke. That's a solid back four. Solid back four. but I do think that they are not going to be quite there yet. You know, I think they're going to think that because they have no Europe, they're going to be safe. But they're going to go on runs in FA Cup and Carabao. So they're not going to be like United, where we went out in both first rounds of the Cups and played pretty much just Premier League. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to have some cup competitions to play in. And I just don't see them having enough in them to get to Champions League football. Now, that might be me being a little bit fucking cunty, but that's just my prediction. Okay? 6th. This is where I have Leeds. Now, a lot of people will have Leeds low. I think Leeds are going to be the surprise package this season. I think they're going to start with being in the Champions League positions. And they're going to just miss out on it into Europa League by the end. But I think that they are going to be the team that competes in that fucking position. I think they're going to sit there and they're going to go, we're ready. You know, we're ready to compete on all fronts in the fucking goddamn, like, attempt to get Champions League. I think their summer might have been one of the best summers so far. I'll give them that. Like, they've signed a centre-back, I think, from Juventus, called, like, Ahmedovic or something. He was from, like, Sassuolo, and he's gone there now. James Trafford in goal is an insane upgrade on their goalies, or at least on Perry, because Darlow was pretty good, but they've now got James Trafford. Solid goalkeeper. I'll give him that. You've then got Harry Wilson on a free, one of the best signings, I think, of the summer. Like, getting him on a free, you've done bits there. You have done absolute bits there. I'll give you that. You know, what a signing that is. And then they've also managed to keep a lot of their players that did well last season, like Dominic Calvert-Lewin, like, not Nemecha, the fucking, who the hell's the other dude? Who's their midfielder that did, Anton Stack. Really good player. And I just think they've done well enough now where, I don't know what it is, but I have them high, man. I have them high, and I think that they're going to be like the breakout team of the summer. You know, they're going to shock people, Leeds. And I don't like saying that because I'm a United fan, but they're going to shock people. They're going to get themselves up the table, I think. You know what I mean? Now, 5th and first UCL position for me is Aston Villa. Aston Villa, for me, are going to be in 5th. I think they have got enough in them to get into the Champions League places, as always. I think Emery, he's a class manager. He wins things constantly. And honestly, some people have him higher. Some people will have Villa in like 3rd and like 4th and that, because of him being like the 2nd longest serving manager behind Arteta and stuff like that. I fully agree he's going to be up there. The one thing that I think is going to let him down this summer is he's not really been backed by the board. Like, end of the day, you got to understand, Villa this season have lost Morgan Rogers. They've lost Tielemans. Amadou Onana's out for half the year with an injury in World Cup. Emi Martinez doesn't really want to be there, but he's been told he's going to stay. And then, you know, other than that, you got to think of the fact that, like, okay, yeah, they've still got some really class players. Konsa's staying. You know, he's probably not going to go anywhere. There's been links with Arsenal, but I think he'll stay. Same with a couple of other players. I think John McGinn will still be there. He'll be a solid leader in that dressing room. Kamara, brilliant player. You know? Then you look at a couple of other people, like the fact that they've still got Ollie Watkins, who's obviously going to be playing on that, which is great. Manzambi, what a signing, by the way. I think he'll be a fantastic signing for them. Joao Gomez in midfield, brilliant signing. I just think they've lost a lot of leadership. You know what I mean? Because Amadou Onana's a bit of a leader in the midfield. Emi Martinez, he'll continue to be a leader, but he doesn't really want to be there, and they kind of know that now. You also can't bully the goalie anymore, which means that he can't do much of his, like, shithousery. Because contact in the box is kind of, like, not allowed anymore. And then other than that, you're looking at, okay, they've lost Tielemans. That's a fucking leader for them. And I think they will get in UCL. Now, they could easily finish 4th, and another team could finish 5th. But I just put in them 5th. I think that's where they're going to get. I think 5th is where they will finish. Okay, that's just my prediction. I think they'll manage to get into the top 5, and I just think that that is where they will finish. You know, like, because you got to understand, they have also managed to really not replace Morgan Rogers. Like, Manzambi kind of replaces him, but Garnacho does not. I'll tell you that right fucking now. Garnacho does not replace him. So, you know, if you're planning on telling me that Garnacho's the replacement, then I'm not having that. You know what I mean? I'm not having that 1 second, bruv. Not 1 second of predictions of that. I do not believe that for a second. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm not having that whatsoever, that Garnacho fucking is the replacement. You know, no. Because that's instantly just, you're in the bin if that's your replacement. Now, this is where I'm putting my guy. This is where I'm putting Man United in 4th, right? Now, I wanted us to have a title charge this season. I wanted us to have a go at the title. I wanted us to get 1st, 2nd, 3rd, have a bit of a push for it, you know, and push the way. We have not made the signings to do that. I'll be 100% honest, we have not made the signings to do that. Now, the signings we have made, I think, are class. That's the one thing I will say. I don't think we've made bad signings. We just haven't made enough signings. That's the problem. Like, Andre Santos, brilliant. He has been stunning in preseason. Obviously, me as a United fan, I've watched him a bunch. He has been stunning in preseason so far, in all 3 games he's played in, right? Other than that, Tielemans, obviously, is now going to play his first preseason game, I think, tomorrow, against PSG. And so he's back, and he's in, and we're going to see how he does. Carl Darlow, solid backup. He was Leeds' first choice at one point. He's now our backup goalie. So I think him for cup competitions, he's going to be great, you know, and stuff like that. A very reliable set of hands. We've got a couple of youth players like Tynan Thompson from Spurs and stuff like that that are maybe going to get the Aiden Heaven treatment, you know, that he got when he joined. But I look at it and I'm like, bro, we're missing so much. Like, Sesko's still not back from injury, by the way. He's still injured at the moment. We do not have a striker. We have Cunha, and we have Xerxes and Mbumo, who's been playing there for a lot of preseason. I can't have us starting the season with them up front. We can't have that. We need a striker, man. Like, even just a backup one. We need a backup striker. So we need a striker. Left back is looking ropes because Dorgu is not a left back. We all know that. We all know Dorgu's not a left back. So we basically have Luke Shaw, who is now going off of a season where he didn't get injured at all to play in all competitions. So he's going to get injured at some point this year. That's a factual statement, okay? Because we're not playing 40 games like we did last year. We're playing fucking goddamn Europe and that. We're playing UCL. So I don't trust it. I'll be honest, I don't trust it. Now, other than that, you've got other positions we need. We obviously need another centre-back, in my opinion, because our centre-backs are all pretty injury-prone. Like, Lenny Yoro's not, neither is Heaven, and then Maguire is a bit iffy, but he's fine. But Luke Shaw is injury-prone, and he's the one who can cover. And then you got Lisandro Martinez, who is always injured, and De Ligt, who is literally never fit. He is injured every game. There's not enough there. Like, for me personally, I think we need a left-back, a centre-back backup. It doesn't have to be an expensive one. It can be like a 10, 15 million pound one, but we need cover, you know? So we need a centre-back, a left-back, a striker, and then we need one more midfielder still. Because I will say this. In pre-season, we have been playing a partnership of Andre Santos and Mason Mount in the deeper positions. And I'll tell you this. Mason Mount has been stunning in pre-season at deep position. He might be a new deep midfielder for us. He might have the ability to do that job for us. Because his pressing and all of that in that deep position and his passing to get out of trouble, stunning in the defensive midfield. But, let's face it, guys, it's Mason Mount. His legs are made of fucking rubber. He's gonna get injured at some point this season. He's gonna get injured at some point. So if he's gonna get injured at some point, then let's bloody be real here. I don't trust that midfield. Because Tielemans is great. Andre Santos, great. Kobe, brilliant. Bruno, yeah, sure, 100%. There's not enough in there. We need someone else, man. We need an actual deep. We need a CDM. Now, a lot of people are getting mad at United, including Mark Goldbridge, the shite bag, who thinks that, you know, everything at fucking goddamn Man United is... He uses United for content, Goldbridge, and I'll always say that. Like, he's a Nottingham Forest fan at heart that uses United for content to make his brand bigger. And the shit he says is, oh, I don't want us to sign those players. That's such a bad summer. I don't want to sign that. What a waste of space. I don't care, right? We're linked with Sander Berg and Tyler Adams because apparently Michael Carrick wants Prem proven. He doesn't want to risk the not Prem players. He doesn't want to go and risk it going for someone like Manu Kone in that. And Manu Kone we might still go for. But he wants a Prem proven player. And we're apparently looking at Tyler Adams from Bournemouth and Sander Berg from Fulham. I wouldn't mind either of those players. Because I don't think we need a starter anymore. I think Andre Santos can do the starting role. From what I've seen in pre-season, we just need cover. We need someone else who can be there. You know? And for that reason, because the board are being so stingy at the moment, I've got us 4th. And I think we could easily finish 5th. I think Villa could easily finish above us. But I do think that we will get UCL, or at minimum, we'll finish 6th and get Europa League. Which would be a failure of a season, by the way. But at the same time, I do think we can get Europe. I just think the board are being stingy cunts, in my opinion. That's just my way of looking at it. Now, that's 4th. 3rd, I have got Chelsea. Now, Chelsea this is the hardest team to predict this season, in my opinion. Chelsea, they are the hardest team to predict of where they're going to go. Because this Chelsea team, could finish fucking anywhere. They could finish literally in 14th in the league, sack Alonso halfway through the year, and all of their players just moan and whine the whole season, and they get an awful season again. Or they could easily challenge for the title, just because of it being Xabi Alonso. Because they have the facilities in their squad to challenge for the title. Their squad, on paper, is good. Like, if you think of their starting squad, they've got Joao Pedro up front. Then you've got your wingers. You're obviously looking at someone like Cole Palmer, Morgan Rogers as 2 wide cams, because that's what Xabi Alonso normally plays. Then you've got your middle of, obviously, Enzo Fernandez, Moise Caicedo, solid midfielders. Your fullbacks, they've gone and signed a left-back now to replace Cucurella. They've obviously got Palestra at right-back. Reece James can be there if he wants, or he can play in midfield. The thing that might cost Chelsea is their centre-backs. Because if they play a 3-back, they have only got, in my opinion, Lacroix and Colwill, who are good players. Badiashiel's shit. Tosin's shit. Fofana's shit. You know, Disasi's shit. Chalobah's gone. Achimpong's young. Hato's shit. And that's my point. And Sarr. They've got way too many players, and they're all pretty average, in my opinion, apart from Lacroix and Colwill, in my opinion. And then Robert Sanchez in goal. They're apparently sticking with goalies. They're apparently sticking with Mike Penders and Robert Sanchez. If the season starts with Mike Sanchez in goal, that could go very wrong very quickly. I'll be 100% honest. Now, I've got them 3rd, but they could finish anywhere. They could be down here in 13th, 14th. They could be here in 8th to 12th. They could get Europa League or Conference League, or they could finish UCL positions. I have them 3rd. I think they will get UCL. I think they've got enough quality in them to get in the UCL. I think Xabi Alonso's a class manager, and I think they'll do well. Pre-season's not showing that, because they have so far lost to Tottenham and Juventus back-to-back in pre-season. And neither of those teams are great. Spurs are not crazy good, and Juventus are not what they used to be. So that's not a great start, but maybe they need that for Xabi Alonso to understand what players are going to actually back him, what players he's going to be able to trust. You know what I mean? But, yeah, I don't know. I just think this is where I have them. This is where I have Chelsea. They could finish anywhere. They're the wild card, in my opinion. They're one of the hardest to predict this season, and I have them there. That's where I've put them, okay? 2nd place, begrudgingly, and it means a certain fan base is going to piss me off again, but I have 2nd place of Man City, and I have 1st place of Arsenal. Now, let's be 100% real here, guys. Okay? Let's be 100% real here. This is... I hate saying it, but this is Arsenal's title to lose this year. It's not anyone else's to win. It's Arsenal's to lose. Because they have not done... Arsenal have got no negatives this summer. Yeah, okay, they didn't get Vinny Jr. It does not matter. They have still managed to sign Zolis at left wing, upgrade to Trossard, Bruno Guimaraes in midfield, stunning signing, and they're still apparently looking at another centre-back because of Saliba's injury, and they're probably looking at another position, like another winger. You know what I mean? Because they were going to get Vinny, and they can't get him now. And so you look at that, and you're like, I'll go through City in a second. I'm just going through the champion right now. I do not see a way Arsenal cannot win this title unless they lose it themselves. They won't lose it because another team is too good. They'll lose it because they flop it. Because their team is ridiculous. Like, yeah, okay, great. Saliba's injury doesn't matter. It really does not matter. Because when you look at their team, they've still got Raya in goal. They've still got Timber. They've still got Calafiori. They've still got fucking Gabriel, Mosquera, who's good enough, but they do need another one. Hincapié, all that cover. Midfield starting, they've got Guimaraes, they've got Declan Rice, they've got Odegaard, they've got Zubimendi, they've got fucking Marino. Solid. And then even then, they've got backups like fucking goddamn Skelly and you know, Havertz can play there and shit like that. And then you look at their wingers, man, and that's where I think they need more work. I think their forwards is where they still need more work, because they didn't get Vinny, and if they got Vinny, they would comfortably walk the league. But Saka, brilliant. But I think what's going to depend on Arsenal is how are some of their players going to feel after the World Cup. Because a lot of their best players are the England ones. Like, you got to understand that Saka and Rice are going to be exhausted. I know they're on they're on a break right now. They're having a holiday. Arsenal last season went everywhere in every competition. They got to the final of the Carabao. They got to the semi-final of the FA Cup. Actually, no, the quarters of the FA Cup, sorry, because they got knocked out by Southampton. And then they went final of the Champions League and had to win the league, but they didn't win it until the second to last game of the season. So they had to go the whole way. So I think what will lose Arsenal the title this season is fatigue. Because they're back in the Champions League. They're going to want to win every trophy and all of that. Their players are going to be exhausted. Because then World Cup runs, you had players like Zubimendi go the whole way, Marino go the whole way in the World Cup. You had Rice and Saka constantly starting in the World Cup, and they got to the semis. You've got, obviously, Saliba, who got injured from the World Cup. And so, like, you've got all these players that have gone so far in every competition last season that you look at it and it's like, I don't know if they've got it in them. Like, and that's where it's theirs to lose. That's why I'm saying it's theirs to lose. It's like, are their players going to be up for it? Are they going to be not shattered? Are they going to have enough to get the whole way and get into winning the title again? And that's why I think they are going to be the wild card, dare I say the word. It's their title to lose. You know, it is their title to lose. And that's why... So, yeah. You know, end of the day, that is my table. Obviously, like I said, I didn't really explain City, but the only reason I think that City will finish second is no Pep. I don't think Maresca's a bad manager, though, and I think they've still got enough quality. Now, I will say this. Rodri is looking like he's going to go to Barcelona. If Rodri goes Barca, they could fall. They could. They could very easily start coming down to third, fourth, fifth kind of levels here. Because the second Rodri goes to Barca, without Pep Guardiola, does Maresca have the ability to make another midfield as good as that? Because I understand they're going to sign Boadi. I understand they've got Elliot Anderson. I understand all this. I understand they got Boadi that's going to probably sign. I understand they've got Elliot Anderson. I understand they have all of these other solid attackers like Haaland and Foden and all of these good players, right? And Semenyo and all that. But a lot of the players that are getting linked with City right now are the players that used to be under Maresca at Chelsea. Like, he's getting linked with people like Gusto and fucking Enzo and Pedro Neto. They're not good enough players. Enzo might be. The other two are nowhere near good enough to play for Man City. I wouldn't want them at United, and City are higher than us at the moment, sadly. So, like, they're not good enough to play for fucking goddamn City. Nowhere near. So it's like, if they don't get their window right, they could fall to 5th, 6th area. Honestly, they really could. Because every time a big manager has left, the likely output is that they've then fell. And I understand Liverpool, technically, they won their league after, you know, Klopp left with Slot. But they won that league mainly because of the fact that Klopp left Slot a perfectly good team with a prime Salah, a prime, you know, all of these other people. Now that he's got none of them, like, he then fell last season, obviously, you know? City, they've got brilliant players. Haaland is going to decide them games. He is going to constantly decide them games. Semenyo, brilliant. Doku, fantastic. Foden, I think he'll be back to his best under Maresca. Because, like, Maresca was the one that made Palmer look really good. So, like, I think, you know, I think he'll be back to his best. But the one thing that I will look at and say is that Rodri leaving could decide their season. Because it really does depend now what their midfield is going to look like day one. Because game one of the season, you're going to have an Elliot Anderson who's played a bunch of World Cup, who's going to be in a new team paired with another completely new player. Because if they sign Buwadi, it's probably going to be Buwadi and Elliot Anderson. Is that going to gel? Because they won't have had any pre-season together. Because Buwadi hasn't signed yet, and Elliot Anderson isn't back yet. So they'll have had no pre-season together, and they will only... Like, the only other midfielders they've got for deep is, like, Nico Gonzalez and Reinders, if I'm correct in saying. Reinders has been shit. Like, he had a really good start last season and then was terrible. And then, you know, other than that, they don't have a huge amount going on right there. And so, I don't know. I just look at City and I think there's chances they could fall. That's why I don't think they'll win the league. I don't think they'll be champions. They can get second, I think. And I think they could easily finish 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. You know, I think they could fall. Because realistically, if City are 6th by January, Maresca's gone. Because City expect to be, you know, winning titles with what they did under Pep. So if they're 6th by January, I think Maresca's gone. Personally. You know what I mean? But, I don't know. You know, end of the day... That's my predicted tier list. That is the official standings of my predicted tier list. Now, I am going to do all of the additional ones now and go through those. That's not going to take as long, though. But that is the official league standings of where I've got everyone. We've got Arsenal 1st, City 2nd, Chelsea 3rd, United 4th, Villa 5th, Leeds 6th, Tottenham 7th, Bournemouth 8th, Liverpool 9th, Nottingham Forest 10th, Brighton 11th, Sunderland 12th, Brentford 13th, Everton 14th, Ipswich 15th, Newcastle 16th, Palace 17th, Fulham 18th, Coventry 19th, and Hull 20th. Alright? So, for anyone who wants to, you know, who's watching this in the future or anything like that, who wants to add, like, you know, how many you think I've got in the correct position, they are the positions I've got all these teams in. Now, remember, it's only a +1 point if I get it in the exact position, not the right column. End of the day, if Spurs finish 6th and Leeds finish 7th, that's 0 points for that column. Because they have to finish in the exact position I've got them. 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th. Sorry. 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th. In that exact order. Okay? So they have to be in the exact correct league position for that to be a point. And then, so with that being said now, let's move on to our second part of this stream, shall we? Where we go over to my categories. Now, this is the second part that I explain in the description. There was a part of me that was considering leaving it for another stream, but I'm not going to do that. I want to get it all done in one stream so that people that watch can get all of their points exact. Now, this is the other part of the description I was talking about, where I say that basically for each one of these categories, let's say top goal scorer, right? Let's say top goal scorer. Can I turn the background to a different color by chance, just to make it actually... hold on. Nope, not that. Is there a background that I can change to a different color? Give me a second, guys. Because I am realizing you're not really going to see my mouse. But anyway, as I was saying, guys, end of the day, right? You can see my mouse moving around, okay? This is the 26-27 Prem added predictions. Now, each of these categories, I'm going to have a first guess, a second guess, and a third guess, as it explains in the description. Now, that first, second, and third guess are going to be dependent on how many points each one is worth. For instance, I'm going to do top goal scorer of the league, and I'm going to have first, second, and third. Now, it's not who I think is going to finish first, second, and third in the top goal scoring list. It is my first guess at who the top goal scorer is going to be, second guess at who the top goal scorer is going to be, and third guess at who the top goal scorer is going to be. Okay? And those three guesses are then going to then depend on what points each one is worth. And I'm going to put an equals how many points they're worth after each one, so that you don't get confused, okay? So basically, you know, let's do it up here, fuck it, because I can do it up here and do a little, let's do points, explanation. Alright, so basically, if I go down here and I go, right, so it'll be first guess, right, it'll be first guess equals 3 points. Well, first guess correct, yeah, equals 3 points. If I get the person I put as my first guess of each category correct, and they actually are the top goal scorer of the league. Second correct guess. Second guess correct equals 2 points. Okay? And then third guess correct equals 1 point. Yeah? You get it. You get how it works. You get it? And then if I get none of them, none of guesses correct, and that equals 0 points. Yeah? You get my point, right? So, like, let's say, I already explained it at the start, but I'll do it again for people who are skipping ahead in here, right? Let's say I put top goal scorers as, let's just do 3 people that are bad on purpose, right? Garnacho, fucking, let's just go Garnacho, Gonzalo Garcia, and fucking, I don't know, fucking Allison. You know what I mean? I won't do that, but you know what I mean. None of them will be in the top the top goal scorer of the league. No, it's only whoever gets top. So if they were my 3 guesses, I'd get 0 points. But let's say I guessed properly and I did Erling Haaland as my first guess, Joao Pedro as my second guess, and then Victor Gyökeres as my third guess. And let's say the top goal scorer in the Prem next season is Joao Pedro, right? And I had him as my second guess for top goal scorer, not first. That would be 2 points for that category, not 3. If Erling Haaland was the top goal scorer and I had him as my first guess, that would be 3 points for that category. You get my point? And so you'd add up the points. That's kind of how it works, if you get what I mean. That's kind of how it works. So, yeah, I've tried to do it in the best way possible to kind of explain it for you guys, but that's kind of how it's going to work, yeah? I hope that's, like, an easy understanding here. And anyone who doesn't understand the rules or any of that, just go in the description, check all of the rules, like, what I writ out, and it's perfectly explained there, and what you win and stuff like that, if you win. If you get the closest to how many correct guesses you think I'm going to get out of all of it, then you can win, obviously. So, With that being said, guys, I think it's time. You know what I mean? I think for this specific one as well, I'm going to turn the chat box off. I think. Because end of the day, I want to be able to see the whole screen. At the end of the day, I can already check the other parts of the chat box. So, I think for this specific part, I'm going to turn the chat box off. So that it's nice and clean. You know what I mean? Like, I want it to be nice and clean so we can see everything. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Right. So, let me go. Top goal scorer. Fuck, I need to do it here. Alright. First. No. And I am gonna, make it bigger. Hold on. Let's do subheading. Okay. So, first equals. Right, first guess for me for top goal scorer, or the one that I'm going to guess, it's pretty obvious, guys. You know, the one that you could put your best money on is Erling Haaland. And I think it's not going to be any different, is it? Like, Erling Haaland is... Erling Haaland is the safe bet. You know what I mean? Like, end of the day... It's end of the day, it's the safest bet, innit? You know, Erling Haaland, he's coming off of a really good fucking World Cup season, and it doesn't matter how many goals or how bad the rest of the team is, he's gonna score your goals. It's kind of like with the assists, where it's like Bruno is just gonna get assists. It doesn't matter. So it's like, you know, Erling Haaland has got to be number one for for top goal scorer. That's my first guess. So that, as you can see, look, first guess correct. If he finishes top goal scorer, that would equal 3 points. You get my point? Let me just make these, this, so that it's a bit bigger. There we go. So that's my first guess. Alright? That's my first guess. That's the one that I personally think is, that's the one I personally think is going to be first. It's always a safe bet, innit? You know, end of the day, when you're looking at a first guess, you're looking at Erling Haaland. You're looking at someone like an Erling Haaland that's obviously going to do well. And it's just a safe bet, innit? You know? Now, my second guess for this category is when it actually starts to get interesting. Because other than Erling Haaland, anyone could be top goal scorer other than him. Now... like I said, for anyone who doesn't understand the rules, just go in the description. You'll get it there. You know what I mean? I think my second guess for top goal scorer that I'm going to go with... I don't think Igor Thiago is going to do the same that he did, and I don't think that someone else is going to do the same that they did. I'm going to go with my second top goal scorer... I'm going to go Joao Pedro. I did say him before, and I'm going to go Joao Pedro, I think. You know, Joao Pedro is going to be my second guess. It's the safe one. He's goated. You know, he's obviously a really, really, really good player. And I think it's always safe to go with someone like Joao Pedro. You know what I mean? I just think there is a level where Xabi Alonso gets him to just be a joke. Like, I think that Xabi Alonso will make him be an absolute fucking joke. Joao Pedro, I really do. I think he will be... he's probably the next most likely to get top goal scorer. Because it's not about who finishes second, remember. It's my three guesses at who finishes first. So if it's not Haaland, I think Joao Pedro is going to do bits in the league. I'll be 100% real. And then third place, you'd think I'd put an Arsenal player in here, like a Gyökeres and that. I don't think Arsenal are going to score that many goals again. I think they're going to be a defence team. The team that scored the second most amount of goals, or third amount of goals last season, was Man United. And I don't think that will change. I think our goal scorers will be huge. However, I don't think Sesko is going to be the guy who scores goals, because I think he is going to be injured for the majority of... or I think he's going to get injuries. And that's why I want another striker signed. But my third guess is going to go to Matheus Cunha, right? Now, I don't think he will finish top goal scorer. That's why I put him as my third guess, not my second and first. But Cunha is going to be the one that's going to fill in up front. He's going to fill in at striker. He's going to be the one that plays up front and has to do the work instead, you know, when he's injured. And for that reason, I think he's going to be up there. Now, there's other shouts that I think could be solid. I think Gonzalo Garcia is going to be great, but he's going to be playing for a relegation team in my eyes. Brobbey, I think, will be solid again. I think you could look at someone like Palmer, might make a bit of a bounce back, you know? But I'm just thinking of it as... I just see Cunha as getting up there in the goals list. You know what I mean? Now, assists. This one's quite easy, guys. Because first, we all know who I'm picking. You know what I mean? Like, we all know my first for this is Bruno Fernandes. And I don't need to explain why, guys. Because end of the day, Bruno Fernandes is the guy. He always finishes in the top 3 for goddamn assists. But obviously, this is only predictions for who's going to get the most. So first. And I just see Bruno Fernandes being, once again, an absolute creative machine. I think it's going to help as well, him having Tielemans behind him. Because Tielemans is someone who can do those long ball passes. And when you got someone like that who can pick out Bruno long, and then Bruno can just pass it across goal, or like, you know, play it one more, you've got ability there. You know what I mean? And so I've got to go with Bruno fucking Fernandes there, man. I've got to go Bruno Fernandes as number 1. That's not even... I didn't even have to think about that, because he is just the assist king. Now, second is going to surprise people. But I'm going Cole Palmer for second, right? And I think the reason for that is Xabi Alonso is going to get this guy cooking like Wirtz, I think. I think he's going to make Cole Palmer like Wirtz in the fucking Bundesliga. Like, he's going to get Cole Palmer getting all of those balls into the box, getting all of that creativity. He's going to make him into a creative machine, I think. Cole Palmer was a bit of an assist guy back in the day anyway, like when he was first at Chelsea. And I think now he's going to do it again. I think Xabi Alonso is the perfect coach to get Cole Palmer assisting. You know, get him fucking goddamn creating proper fucking levels of you know, assists. You know what I mean? And then my third guess for who will be the top playmaker of the season, the person who gets the most assists in the season... Is this where I throw in an out there one? Because there's a few players that jump out at me that could be creative, right? Now, the majority of creators are going to be people that are allowed to play kind of just behind the striker, or they're going to be wingers. I don't think Cherky's going to be that guy this season, because I think that was under Pep. I think Maresca is going to have him playing a bit different, and I don't think he's going to be up there in the assist charts anymore. So, it's between a couple for me. And Dominic Szoboszlai is one of them that I'm considering. But I don't think Dominic Szoboszlai is going to get much assist because he's not got much of an attack to pass to, if you get what I mean. And then other than that, obviously you could say Haaland is going to feed people assists because he's going to be a top goal scorer. So City player is always a solid guess. But a lot of the people that I thought would be assisters are gone. Like Bernardo Silva, you know, like fucking a couple of others. And so I don't know who's going to assist in that team. So instead of predicting one of them, I'm going to predict a bit of an out there one. And I'm going to predict a player that I think is going to, dare I say the word, level up his game under Oliver Glasner. And I'm going Morgan Gibbs-White. That is my guess, right? You got to understand, under Oliver Glasner, you had fucking goddamn Eberechi Eze cooking. So, in terms of assists, I think he can get Morgan Gibbs-White cooking like it's a joke. It's either him or Harry Wilson for me, for Leeds. That's my prediction. But I think because Harry Wilson's at a new team, he doesn't know his teammates yet. Whereas I think Gibbs-White has only got a new manager, not, you know, a new team. And I think he can get Gibbs-White cooking like Elise and Eze at Palace. You know what I mean? That's my prediction. So I've put Gibbs White as my out there my choice. You know, my out there choice for most assists. Most clean sheets, however, is a bit more obvious. Let me just move this across real quick. And we'll get this side now open on the fucking screen. Most clean sheets is a bit more... It's a bit more out there, this one. Because unlike with assists and goal scorers, where you can just put Bruno and Haaland like you always fucking do, alright? This one's a bit harder. Because, end of the day... Oh, I did an exclamation mark, not a 1. Clean sheets are difficult. Because it's really, like, yeah, okay, the top teams are going to have a lot of clean sheets. But at the same time, a lot of the teams that maybe surprise you could have good clean sheets. Because end of the day, they're teams that are going to be very defensive. They're going to be very defensive. They're going to be very, like, deep and not let people through. So my first guess is not going to be David Raya. Because I think not having Saliba for about, 3 months is going to cost them goals. Now, I'm not saying they're not going to win games, but they might not do it without conceding. Right? So my first guess is going to be Jordan Pickford. Because the defence of Everton is brilliant. Their attack is not so good. So Jordan Pickford is always a pretty safe one to put in. You know what I mean? He's always a pretty safe guess. For most clean sheets. And I think it's always pretty safe to do that. You know what I mean? So, yeah, first guess, Jordan Pickford, safe. You know what I mean? Like, not a risk putting that in. And it's just one of them where it's like, I believe in Pickford having a very good chance of getting clean sheets. Now, I have a couple of people that are like... Sorry, guys, I'm just sorting something. Now, for the second 2 guesses, or second and third, this is where it gets hard for me, in my opinion, right? Because there's a lot of goalies that I think are going to do bits this year. Like, I think you got players like Donnarumma, who's going to do fine. I think Lamens will do all right. I don't think he'll do anywhere near as good this year, though. I do actually believe that. I think we'll concede more goals this year. Because we're not changing our defense, you know what I mean? Like, whereas our signings in defense to be able to not concede. So in my opinion, I don't think it's going to be United. I think it's going to be Chelsea because Robert Sanchez is too dodgy. Liverpool are going to concede hella goals, in my opinion, with what they've got going on. So my second choice is, for me, I'm going to put James Trafford in, right? And the reason for that is James Trafford was a clean sheet merchant at Burnley in the Championship. And obviously everyone expected him to go City and be starter, and then they went and signed Donnarumma, which obviously screwed him out of being a starter. However, in the cup competitions, James Trafford was still cracked, and they won obviously the Carabao and the FA Cup. He's now gone to Leeds, a team who were already pretty good at keeping clean sheets last season. They weren't terrible at it, and he is a saving merchant. So I think he will be heavily up there at Leeds, James Trafford, for goddamn saves made. He could be first, comfortably, and that's why he's in my 3 guesses. And then third guess, I have a few honourable mentions. For instance, I think Dean Henderson will be up there because of the manager he's working with, of how defensive they are. I think you could definitely say Sells will be up there again, I think, under Glasner. I think you could easily make a case for Donnarumma because he's Donnarumma. Emi Martinez is going to be all right, but I do think he'll concede more than you think. But I'm going with David Raya, because David Raya is definitely going to be up there for clean sheets, but I've only got him as my third guess, because I don't think he's going to win clean sheet without Saliba at the back, and with the fact that I think their players are going to be a bit more tired, if you get what I mean. So, even though I think he can win the most clean sheets, I don't think he's guaranteed to win it. Now, if people don't understand the rules and everything, by the way, of why I'm doing this and all of that, just check the description of the stream/VOD if you're watching this in the future, and you will understand all the rules then. You know what I mean? So, that's my most clean sheets, assists, and top goal scorer. Now we move on over, real quick, back over to best signing of the season. Now, this is a bit more situational, dare I say the word. Because it's not like a set in stone thing. Signing of the season. You know what I mean? Signing of the season is one of them things where you don't have to really, you know... Like, signing of the season, you don't have to fucking goddamn... Like, this one is a bit more situational. And we'll have to kind of have, like, a debate when I do go through all my predictions. We'll have to kind of have a debate of, like, if I think that they were the signing of the season. And what I'll do is, before I go back through my list, so I don't remember who I put as my best signings this season, because I'm not going to check this list or this video until the end of the season. I'm not going to do a mid-season predictions check-up or anything like that. I'm not going to do anything like that. I'm going to have a complete mystery of forgetting what I did in this stream by the end of the season. So I'm going to go and predict all of my signings of the season and Breakout Star and all of them. And we'll have to decide then and there what we think is going to get a point and what we don't, if you get what I mean. Now, best signings of the season. I think I'll probably use like a lot of like... I'll probably use, for signings of the season, I'll probably use... I'll probably use, like, sources of what people think is the signing of the season and who people think is the breakout star. Because, like, everyone can agree that last season, the signing of the season was... Fuck, who was it? I think a lot of people agreed that last season, the signing of the season was Rayan Cherki. Probably. And a lot of people agreed that the breakout star was Max Dowman. Right? A lot of people said that because of his age and stuff like that. And so for that reason, it's kind of like, well, it's very, like, situational, dare I say the word. You know what I mean? And so for that reason, it's like, it's kind of like my opinion, but at the same time, I will have we'll have a chat and, like, everyone can decide who they think was the signing of the season. Now, my first guess, the player I think that right now, looking at the signing, it's the signing of the season, and it is the best fucking player that's going to make the biggest impact. Price. You got to remember, you got to factor in all the things. You got to factor in the price, where they finish, what they did, you know, like how available they were and stuff like that. Because, like, injured players are not going to be signings of the season. You know what I mean? So, like, you've got to factor in a bunch of categories. And I think if you're factoring in all of those categories... Signing of the season for me so far in terms of price and all of this other shite, for what I've seen so far, I'm going Harry Wilson for Leeds. Spent no money, was cracked at fucking thingy, and Harry Wilson is my first guess for signing of the season. Now, I could be insanely wrong about that. I could, yes. I could be wrong about that. But at the same time, I could be very right. You know what I mean? Like, it's very hard for me to say who the signing of the season is going to be before the season's even fucking started. You know what I mean? And that's why it's like, it's a prediction. It's not a guarantee, is it? You know, this guy could flop it up. But at the end of the day, you know, how am I meant to know? You know what I mean? How am I meant to know who the signing of the season is before it starts? My second guess of signing of the season, and this is a personal guess for me, but I'm going to go with, right, and this is my opinion. If I had to guess who the signing of the season is, taking into price into account, what they offer, and all of that, I'm putting in a Man United boy. I'm putting in Youri Tielemans. Because the price we signed him for is ridiculous. We signed him for a stupid price. Fuck, where's the spell? It doesn't give me the choice to fucking... Oh, there we go. Ignore. And ignore. Like, the signing... You gotta understand, the price we signed Youri Tielemans for is a bargain in today's market. Like... £35 million for Youri fucking Tielemans. That is a hell of a signing. That is a hell of a signing. And I think I have to put him in there and say, that's a brilliant signing. You know what I mean? Like, that is an absolutely incredible signing. And then third guess. My third out there guess of who I think the signing of the season is. Now, based on what I have seen so far for prices and all of that, now, I want to put Hayden Hackney in here, right? Because of how good of a business he is for 20 million. But at the same time, would anyone at the end of the season be sitting there going, Hayden Hackney's the signing of the season? No, probably not. Even if he does well at Everton, unless they go on a bit of like a European charge, he's not going to be signing of the season. And for that reason, I'm not putting him on there. So in my opinion, I kind of have to go with logic here. And I have to think, okay, what is probably the best deal in my eyes that I've seen this summer right now? Or one of the best? It's Bruno Guimaraes. That is my Bruno G. I'm just going to put Bruno G because we all know what that means. So it's not Bruno Fernandes. I can't be asked to spell Bruno Guimaraes. It's a stunning goddamn signing, isn't it? Like, and if Arsenal do keep the title, he will probably get one of the signings of the season because he's going to be a crucial part of you getting a fucking goddamn title at Arsenal. You know what I mean? Like, he's going to offer Rice so much solidity and comfort next to him compared to, like, Zubimendi, who is nowhere near the level of Bruno G. You know what I mean? And it's like, you look at that and it's like, that's just a signing, man. That's a hell of a signing. That is a hell of a fucking signing right there. But, I don't know. Like, I think when you look at it, I think a player like Bruno G has got you so much, like, he gets you so much ability, and the price is fine. Like, they spent, what, £75 million, I think, in the end, they agreed? That's really solid. I know he's 29, but end of the day, Casemiro was, what, 29 when he signed for United for about £65 million, and he was probably one of the signings of the season that season, in his debut season. So I'm kind of basing it off that and thinking, well, he's Prem proven, he's going to the fucking team that's better, he's going to do well. So that's my 3 signings of the season. Now, breakout star, this is hard, because this is basically, who do I think is a player, it doesn't have to be, like, you know what, I'm not going to have breakout star, because breakout star is going to be, like, breakout star is, oh, no, sorry. Breakout star is too, like, no one knows youth players. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do most improved. That's what I'm going to do. Problem is I do have biggest surprise, which is most improved. Do I do breakout star? The problem with breakout star is no one knows the names of youth players. Like, I don't know the name of any team other than United's youth players. You know what I mean? I don't. So, like, is breakout star really going to do anything? Because I've already got young player of the year. So, like, I don't really need to do that. Let's go for... Let's do... Should we do most improved? I'll do most improved, and then I'll do biggest surprise player. And there'll be, like, names that you don't know. You know what I mean? I'll do most improved and biggest surprise player as 2 different categories, because it is technically different. We'll do most improved. Most improved. So who had a flop year last year and has done bits now? I think most improved, one of them, I think a fair one to do is definitely Phil Foden, right? Because Phil Foden had an awful year last year. Let's be bloody real. You know, Phil Foden was crap last year. And I think this year he'll be able to pull out a real fucking blinder of a recovery season, all right? Because it wouldn't be a surprise, you know what I mean? That's the whole point. I feel like most improved is like, they're not surprise players, you know what I mean? They're not like not unknown players that do well. That's the difference. Most improved will be like players who are meant to be good, who had a shit year, who actually now turn out to have a good year again. So, I think Phil Foden has a very big chance of turning his career around a bit and getting back up out of the stinky realm. I think another player that I think that people are meant to call a good player, who had a bad last year, who's now going to improve. I think another one I'm going to put in here is Van de Ven. Right? And Van de Ven, again, good player, but like, he's meant to be a good player, and last year he was bad. Let's be 100% real here. Him and Romero last year were atrocious. They were injured a lot, and they also just kept getting sent off. They were both bad players. So I'm having Van de Ven and Phil Foden in there, 110%. And I think another player, because these are not bad players. These are players who had a bad year that are meant to be good. And then the biggest surprise is going to be players that are maybe have never had a good season before, or like are completely unknown to have, like, you know, be a big name in the Prem, and they kind of make a name for themselves. You know what I mean? Like, if like Garnacho would be a big surprise. He wouldn't be most improved because he was bad last year as well. You know what I mean? He'd be a surprise if he did well. Who do I put as my third? Is this where I put Alexander Isak? Do I think Isak's going to save himself enough? You know what? I'm going to do most improved, and because of the new manager, I'm going to do Florian Wirtz. I'm going to give Florian Wirtz the benefit of the doubt, because even though Liverpool are going to do bad, I think he'll fix up. I think he'll actually like kind of bloom a bit under Iraola. You know what I mean? I think he'll kind of bloom a bit. You know, he'll kind of turn his time around a bit, in my opinion. Yeah? You get my point. But yeah, like I said, in the description, just check the rules and that for how to win and shit like that. You know what I mean? Anywho, let me just quickly move this over one more time. Oh, that's the wrong thing. Sorry. Move that over like that. Okay, and so there we go. We now have worst signing of the season. Now, it's harsh to say worst. I hate the idea of calling someone a worst, but there's going to be worst. Everyone, like, who's going to be a flop, pretty much? Like, who's going to be the flop of the season? Who's going to be a signing where you just sit there and you go, yeah, that's a flop right there. You know, like, that is a flop in the making. And the easiest guess, I'm just going to put Alejandro Garnacho. I don't think he'll be a surprise. I think he'll be just as bad as always. Like, he's just a stupidly shit signing. Like, why do you sign Garnacho, Emery? Like, what are you doing? What are you doing at Villa, man? You've got all your other signings perfect, and then you go and sign Alejandro fucking Garnacho. It's always a safe one to put, isn't it? You know what I mean? Like, he's just a bad player. I think my second guess for worst signings of the season that I've seen so far. Fuck, it's harsh, man. It's really harsh. I think if we're going to be real, right, and be 100% honest, I think I've got to put a Newcastle signing in there. Because they've signed so many players, and they're not going to be able to do what their old players have done. I feel like Newcastle have to have a name in here. You know what? I'm going to go for worst signing of the season. I'm going to go for an out there shout. And this might be completely wrong, all right? But I'm going to go with Jeremy Jacquard from fucking Liverpool, all right? And the reason I'm doing that is, end of the day, he is so new to the Prem, and he's being dropped in the deep end at a Liverpool team that realistically needs, in my opinion, I think they need Prem proven. Like, they haven't signed a single Prem proven player yet, and I think they need it. And it doesn't look like they're going to at the moment. You know, I think they need the Prem proven. I think they need players that are going to know what the fuck is going on. So what I think I'm going to do is... Who's my third guess? Because there's going to be some stinky signings, but, like, who's going to be the stinky one? And they're going to be players, by the way, that are actually going to play games. I'm not going to go Ilan Meslier for Arsenal. He's a third goalie. Same with Darlow for United. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to pick people that are actually going to play, or are expected to play. Is this where... I don't think Mateus Fernandes goes in here. Like, Mateus Fernandes, I think, is going to be a bad signing, but I don't think he's going to be worst 3. Like, it's not worst 3 either. It's who is the worst. And I don't think he'll be the worst signing. But for that, by the way, I do think it has to be a big name. That's why I don't think I'm going to put a Newcastle player on here, because it has to be someone that, like, is going to earn that title of worst signing. So... my third and final worst signing prediction... Do I put Mateus Fernandes? I do think Fernandes is going to be bad. Like, I think Tonali will be good, and I think Fernandes will flop. But will he flop enough to be considered the worst signing of the season is the question. Morgan Rogers, I think, will be average, by the way. That's why I'm not putting him in there. Like, he's expensive, but I think he'll be average. Same with Elliot Anderson. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think either of them are, like, an obvious, yes, they're the worst. You know what I mean? I think if I have to... Oh, do I put Buadi in? That's a... no, Buadi's not going to be the worst. He's going to be solid. Most disappointing players are going to be, by the way, the opposite of most improved. So it's going to be players that had a good season that then have a bad season, if you're wondering what that's going to mean. It's the opposite of most improved. So it's like people who did well last year and now are going to have shit. I'm going to go worst signing of the summer of... I'm just going to do it. Mateus Fernandes. I just think he won't do it. Like, I can't think of an obvious third one, and it's like, unless they are really bad for a low-level team, they're not going to be the named worst signing of the season. Because you got to understand, it's not worst 3, it's literally who does someone think is the worst signing of the season, and I think he'll be up there. You know, like, I do. It's not a personal attack, it's nothing like that, it is just an honest prediction. Right. Player of the year. Now, this is an interesting one. This is a very interesting guess right here. But player of the year. I think if we're being real... 1, 2, 3, there we go. If we're being real here, right, you've got to go with players that are playing for the teams that are going to win things. Or they're going to be high on the list. So you're going to have, again, a lot of the players that you already have for things like top goal scorer, most assists, most clean sheets, most improved, all of that. So first is Erling Haaland, right? That is my... Because, like, if he wins top goal scorer and they do actually just win the league, then the first guess is Erling Haaland. It's a safe one to go for. It's a safe bet. And it's just one of them where it's like, yeah, I mean, you know, he's probably going to be up there, isn't he? You know what I mean? He's probably going to be up there. So, yeah. Oh, shit, a minute. Oh. There we go. It's pretty safe to put Erling Haaland in the best for player of the year. Second. Do I put Bruno again? Do I think Bruno is going to be... Do I think Bruno Fernandes is going to be up for player of the year? Yeah, it's a safe one, isn't it? He's going to win it this year, probably. So, I think Bruno Fernandes, it's a safe one. It's always safe to go Bruno. Like, he's expected to win player of the year. I mean, he's going to win it this year, because if he doesn't, that's fucking robbery. I don't give a fuck about the World Cup or any of that crap. So yeah, Erling Haaland is definitely my first guess. Bruno's my second. I've got to go with an Arsenal player here, really, don't I? Who for Arsenal is going to be their standout? Because I think Saka's going to be fatigued. Same with Rice. I think if they win the league, with the current players they have available, you're looking at a Raya or a Bruno G, in my opinion. And I'm going to go out there. I'm going to go and put my foot out there, and I'm going to say Bruno G. I think Bruno Guimaraes is going to be up there. If they win the league, he's up there. I know he's my third guess for best signing, but like I think he's up there for this. For player of the year. You know, I do. I really do think he's up there for that. So, like, I think Bruno G for Arsenal is going to be an absolute stunning signing. I really do. Now, first guess of young player of the year. Now, they do young player of the year as players under the age of 23. It's not like with the Golden Ball or the Golden Boy and stuff like that. Like, it's under age of 23. So, young people like fucking, like Ryan Cherky, he can win it. Even though he's above 20, he can win young player. So, you've got to kind of think logically here. Daumann's not going to get as much game time as a lot of people are thinking. I think... I know one of the names, but it's not going to be my first guess. Rio Ngamoa is going to be on here, but I think he'll probably be my third guess, because that's if Liverpool do well. So I'm thinking... if we're being real, right, if we're being full-on real, I think first guess for young player of the year for me has got to be... you know what, I'm going to put Johan Manzambi for Villa. I think he's up there. Comfortably, I think he's up there. Like, I think Johan Manzambi is a definite contender for young player of the year. 100%, man. 100%. My third guess is going to be Rio Ngamoa. But I think second guess for me... So I don't think any Arsenal players are going to be young player of the year. I think they'll just get, like, you know, a good team again. I think they'll probably be in, like, team of the year and stuff. Same with, like, a couple of other teams. There's a few names I can float around here. Aiden Heaven, I think, is solid, but he's a centre-back. And centre-backs don't normally win young player of the year unless we win the league. If we win the league and he starts every game, then maybe he would get young player of the year. But that's why it's like, I think Aiden Heaven is going to break out. I think he's going to be a starting centre-back for United because of injuries. But at the same time, I don't think he's going to win Young Player of the Year because unless we win the league, he's not going to get it. You got to think, like, it's mainly forwards. Now, Ryan Cherky could be up there again, but I just don't think he will be. So, if I had to guess, right, and have a proper guess at Young Player of the Year, based on league positions and stuff like that, I think I have to throw in... I'm going to put in that Chelsea dude, Palestra. I can't remember his name, but... No, I'm not going to put... He's a right back. He's not going to win Player of the Year as a right back. I was going to put him, but no, he's not going to win that. God, it's so hard to put in names of, like, people that you actually think is going to be up there. I'm going to go with... Because, like, Andre Santos would be in contention, but I don't think he's going to win it. And then, like, people like Ahmad and that are too old. And obviously, I don't think they'd win it anyway. Sesko would be available, because he's, like, 22? I think he might be 23 now, actually. Maybe not, actually. I'm going to put Ryan Cherky. It's a safe one to do. And end of the day, he's a good fucking player, isn't he? Like, Ryan Cherky's a number 2. And then that makes number 3 for me, Rio Ngamoa. Because I do think he is going to be incredible for Liverpool. I do. So, Rio Ngamoa. Like that. Spelling, ignore. Spelling, ignore. That's my guesses. And then most disappointing, as I did with most improved, this is going to be basically players that had a goated last season. Or not goated, but like they were really good. They had a really good year. And then this year, they're just going to disappoint. You know what I mean? And that's like... That's the predictions. Now, there's a lot of players that could be in here. I will be honest. I will probably put a Man United player in here as well, to be honest. But I think I'm going to go with... I mean, a first player that I just want to jump out at, I'm going Antoine Semenyo. Antoine... How do you spell it? Antoine Semenyo. I know I've spelled that wrong, by the way. But I know that that's his... I'm just going to ignore it. Like, I don't care. We know who I'm talking about. The City winger. You know what I mean? I'll do Antoine Semenyo like that. Now, the reason I think Semenyo is going to be worse is he's only just joined City, and he's joined when Pep's gone. Right? And I just think that Maresca prefers wingers that can play cam. And Semenyo can do that. But I think that he'll like Doku more. I don't know why. I think he'll like Doku more, and I think he'll like Cherky more. And then Foden as well. So I think Semenyo will become a bit of a bench player for a lot of games. And I think for that reason, he's going to be one of the most disappointing. Because this year, he was cracked. You know what I mean? Another player I'm going to put in after their injury they just got is Junior Krupi. Now, that is a little bit harsh, in my opinion. But I think the reason Junior Krupi is not going to be as good is he's just got an injury that's probably keeping him out until, what, I think January? I think it's keeping him out for like 3-4 months because he picked up a really bad broken... It's like a broken ankle or something, or like a broken leg. I don't know. It's a very bad injury. And I think that because of that... I haven't actually moved my screen over. Let me move my screen over. Sorry, guys. I didn't realise that I hadn't moved it. There we go. But... yeah, I think because of that, I think that's going to cause Krupi to not have a breakout year. And it's going to be kind of like a Carlos Baleba, I think, of Brighton, where like he has a good breakout season, really good, and then just has a bad season. And I think Krupi's going to do that. I think it'll be one of them where it's like, because he's out for so long, he's not going to get to know the manager that's new and stuff. And I think he's just going to struggle. That's my opinion, all right? And he had a goated last season, obviously. And the final player, there's a lot you can put in here. There's a lot of players you can put in here, right? Like, end of the day, you can go for a couple of Arsenal players, you can go for United players, you can go for Liverpool players, Chelsea players. Like, there's so many players you can put in here. But if I had to guess of a player that I think is going to be bad, right? I can't put someone like Dorgu, because I think Dorgu's going to be shit this year. But he was not like... he didn't have an incredible year last year. He had a good year. But that was it, you know? So, like, for United, that's the reason why I don't think anyone's going to go on it for me. Because, like, I don't think any of the people that had a goated year are going to do badly. If you get what I mean. So, I think, just to be a bit outlandish and have a bit of a bet, I'm going to go with Hugo Ekitike. That's my guess, right? And again, it's very much down to injuries. Because obviously he's injured until about January. Or like at least until about, I think, like November. And with a new manager, I just think Isak's going to be the starter now. I think last year Isak was bad. This year it's going to be the opposite. I think Hugo Ekitike is going to get very little game time. And I think Isak's going to kind of nail down a spot. Now, I don't think Isak's going to be a most improved, by the way. I think he'll still only get probably like 10 to 15 goals in the Prem, which is fine, but it's not... I don't think he's going to be down here. I think Ekitike is going to have a poor year. I don't know why. I just feel it. I feel Ekitike having a bit of a poor year. You know what I mean? And so finally, we got 3 more categories, and then that is every single prediction done, by the way. I have 3 more categories, and then that is every single prediction done. And we will then have every single thing predicted for you guys to then vote how many you think I've got correct. And remember, this isn't a first, second, third of who's most improved, then second most improved, and third most improved. These are 3 guesses of who I think is going to be the most improved. Yes? Remember that. That's what it says up here, look. Points explanation. First guess is correct, it means it's 3 points. If my second guess was the correct one, then it's 2 points. If my third guess was the correct one, it's 1 point. And if none of the guesses are correct, then it's a 0 points. If none of the guesses got top goal scorer or got top most assists or anything like that, then yeah. Yeah? I just want to make that clear. That it's not a, you know, it's not a first, second, third. It's 3 guesses at each category. Yeah? Just want to make that clear for people who don't understand. Anyway. Biggest surprise player. Now, this is different to most improved. Because most improved are players that are meant to be world class that had bad last years and then improved this year. Most biggest surprise are going to be players that have never even had a big year yet. You know, these are going to be players that are like, this is their breakout season. This is the ones where, like, they're going to be an actual good player this season. All right? So you got to go for people that have maybe never had a breakout year and are now going to have a breakout year. Right? You got to go for, like, fringe players that are going to force their way into a starting 11. Okay? My first one, I think that I'm going to go with is... I'm thinking... Let's go with... See, a safe one would be to go... Is there a Chelsea player that I think is going to be a bit of a breakout? I think... They're not going to be my first guess, whoever it is, because they have to be the biggest. But I think my first guess is I'm going to go with... This is hard, man. This is really hard. You know what? Because of Krupi's injury... Well, you know what? No, first guess, alright, is... I'm going to go Evan Nielsen from Bournemouth, alright? Because I think he's going to have to fill in, and I think he'll do it quite well. That's my guess, okay? Like, I think Evan Nielsen, he's going to have to fill in for, obviously, the you know, injured strikers at Bournemouth, and I think he'll do that very well. And I think he'll be a big... He'll be one of them where, like, people will want to sign him because he's had a good year and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Second biggest surprise player that I'm going to go with is I am going to go with... Do I throw in a Man United player? Yeah, I know what? I'm going to throw it in. Mason Mount. I'm doing it. I'm putting Mason Mount in because of what I've seen in pre-season, and finally he's going to have a good season for Man United, I think. Now, I do think he'll get injured, though, and that's why it's just an out-there guess. End of the day, this is guesses, end of the day. There's no, like, obvious fucking answers, you know what I mean? So I think third guess for me, and I think the final player that I'm going to say is going to have a bit of a decent upturn is... I'm going to go Cody Gakpo, but I'm going to go Cody Gakpo for Spurs, not Liverpool. All right? That's my guess. I think they're the 3 players that I think are going to be... They haven't done anything in the past, and now they're going to do something, if you get what I mean. Like, I was tempted to put Isak on there, but he has done something at Newcastle, and then he had 1 bad year at Liverpool, so it wouldn't be a surprise to me. Right, biggest surprise teams. Now, this is easy because this is basically based off of where I put my predictions in the table tier list, right? So my first biggest surprise is Leeds United. My second guess is Ipswich Town, because a lot of people think they're guaranteed relegated. And I don't. I think that they're going to stay up. And then my third guess for biggest surprise team, because it's not a surprise. I know. It's not a surprise if someone like Bournemouth gets in Europe again. You know what I mean? It's not a surprise if any of these other teams do what they do. So there's a couple of people that I think is surprised. And by the way, these are all positive surprises, not negative. I'm not doing people that have bad seasons and it's a surprise. You know what I mean? Like, they're all positive. I'm not doing the negatives. So I think the biggest surprise next for me would honestly be Chelsea. Because I think they could challenge for the title. And they had an awful year last year. And then finally, first managers to be sacked. This is an easy one to do. Because end of the day, I know my personal predictions of who I think is going to get sacked. First one is Alvaro Arbeloa for Fulham. I just think he's gone. I think he is absolutely in the bin. I'll be 100% real. Like, these final couple of categories, I kind of already made my mind up on what they were when I was doing where I think teams are finishing, because that's kind of what I went into account with as my guesses. So my second guess is going to be the Fabian Yasil. Is it Yasil or Yasil or whoever the fucking Newcastle manager is? Let me fucking see. Let me go Newcastle manager. Matthias, not Fabian. Matthias. Matthias. Yaisel. Yaisel. Like that. Yaisel. Yeah. That's my guess for second quickest to be sacked, because I think the board are not gonna give him the time he needs to get the team in a good position. I just think he's gonna struggle. I don't think Arbeloa's gonna. I do think Iraola's gonna get sacked wrongly, but I don't think he's gonna get sacked in the first, because this is first sacked. These are the three that I think are gonna be the quickest sackings in the league, and you got to think about it that way of like, well, who do I think they're going to honestly get rid of? Like, who do I think is going to jump the gun and just go, yeah, you're gone? Know what I mean? Like, Arbeloa and Yazel are easy, in my opinion, as predicted sackings. I think my third one that could go is Crystal Palace manager. Which is Pierre Sage. That's my guess. Because I don't think any of the promoted teams are going to jump the gun because they're not expecting to do anything. Whereas these teams are the ones that are like, well, they're down there and they're not meant to be. So these are my three biggest predictions, okay, of sackings. And that right there is me finished, by the way. Like, I have now finished every single piece of it. So if we quickly go over to this, and I quickly move this just a bit in so that you can see all of them. Actually, you can see all of them there, whatever. This is my finished, done predictions, by the way, guys. So remember the points explanation. Read the description properly when you're doing like how many guesses you think I'm going to get correct. Make sure to understand how much each points is worth. Okay. And then obviously get your guesses in and stuff, because this is finished now. I've locked it in. Top goal scorers. My three guesses for who's going to be the best goal scoring player is Erling Haaland, Joao Pedro, and Mateus Cunha. Most assists in the league. So the person who I think is going to get the top assist is going to be either Bruno, Cole Palmer, or Morgan Gibbs-White. Clean sheets, my guesses are Jordan Pickford, James Trafford, or David Raya. Best signing is going to be Harry Wilson, Yuri Tielemans, or Bruno Guimaraes. Most improved player of the year, I think, is going to be Phil Foden, Van de Ven, or Florian Wirtz. Worst signing of the season is going to be Alejandro Garnacho, Jeremy Jacquard, and Mateus Fernandes. Again, I'm not going to move the page over because you've seen already. I'll move it over in a second. Player of the year, I'm going with, it's going to be one of Haaland, Bruno Fernandes, or Bruno Guimaraes. Young player of the year is going to be one of Johan Manzambi, Rayan Cherki, or Rio Gungamoa. And then most disappointing player of the year is going to be one of Anthony Semenyo, Junior Krupi, or Hugo Ekitike. With biggest surprise players of the year is going to be one of Evan Nielsen, Mason Mount, or Cody Gakpo. Biggest surprise team of the year is Leeds United, Ipswich Town, or Chelsea FC, because I think they could be in a title battle, and they finished fucking 10th, so they kind of have to be biggest surprise, don't they? And then first manager sacked is one of Alvaro Arbeloa, Matthias Jaisel, or Pierre Sage. Now that is Fulham, Newcastle, and Crystal Palace managers, by the way, if you guys don't know who they are managing. And yeah, that's how it kind of works. So, yeah, I'll just move it over so you can see all the ones that were on this side that you couldn't see before. And that's the predictions. And like I said, make sure to read everything perfectly with how the points explanation works. Okay? It's only if they are number 1, not 1, 2, and 3. You only get points for Cole Palmer, Bruno, or Morgan Gibbs-White in assists, right? If any of those 3 finish with the most assists. Not if one of them finishes 2nd or 3rd. That means nothing. It's only if they finish first, any of them. And then it's how many points you get is depending on my guesses. Now, obviously, it's not how many points you get, it's how many points I get. You've just got to guess how many points in total I'm going to rack up when we do our checks at the end of the season. Like, when we do our checks at the end of the season, you guys have just got to guess how many total points I'm going to rack up. So my guess, right, and this is my proper guess. So let's do this part right, okay, right now. I've done all of these. My guess, and I have to guess beforehand as well. I think I'm going to get 3 points on the goal scorers because I think Erling Haaland is definitely going to get there. I think Erling Haaland is going to win top goal scorer. So I think I'm going to get 3 points there. I think assists, Bruno Fernandes is going to win. So I do think I'm going to get that. So that's 6 points that I think I'm going to get. Clean sheets, I think Raya will probably win again, even though I put these 2 as first 2. So I think that'll be 7 points for me. Best signing, I think it'll be none of them. I don't know why. I just feel like there's going to be an out there player. So I think I'm not going to get anything for that. Most improved, I think I could be very well wrong. So let's go... do I even put a guess in? I'm not going to put a guess in. Because these are what I think is going to be right. So if these are what I think is going to be right, then technically I should go, well, 3, 6, 9, 12, and then I think I'm going to get the whole league season right, because these are my predictions. It's when you guys think I'm wrong in some of them of how many points I deduct. So let me just make this clear, right? In total, the amount of points that are up for grabs, if I got every single one right, the amount of points that would be up for grabs is 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30, 33, 36. So there's 36 points total available here, plus the 20 points that are available from here. Okay? So there's 30 total points available on this, if I got every single first guess correct. So there's 30 total points available here, and then also 20 extra points if I got the entire table correct. Okay? So the total maximum amount of points that I could physically earn is 56. The maximum I could physically earn is 56, and the minimum is obviously 0, because I could get every single one wrong. So you've just got to put a guess of somewhere between 0 and 56. Pretty much. Just 0 and 56 of how many points you think I'm going to get. And closest to the correct answer is correct. So the maximum amount of points available is 56, okay? So let me actually move this over here. Maximum Available. I spelled that wrong, I know. Points. Including... No. Hold on. Oh, for fuck's sake. Including Prem table equals 56. Points earned from 0 to 56 equals, and then that's where I'd put it, right? But we're not going to do that until next season, obviously. No. Hold on. Let me copy this real quick. I'm going to move it. I'm going to put it here. Sorry, guys. I'm just doing something on another screen right now. Right. So basically now, guys, as you can see over here, I have maximum available points, including Prem table points available, equals 56. The maximum point I can physically get is 56 points. If I got every first guess correct and every single fucking Prem table prediction correct. Because there's 36 available points here if I get every first, and then plus the 20 for each team correct in the Prem table, right? So the points I earn from 0 to 56, I'm going to write here, and I want guesses from everyone else, right? And I'm going to write the guesses of everyone's official guesses in my own time when you guys give me exactly what guess you think I'm going to do out of 56. I'm going to write each one of your names down here below the table and what you guessed as points. So that when we get to the end of how many correct points are available, we will know instantly who has won. Okay? So the second you guys have a number from 1 to 50 or 0 to 56, one of you could easily predict 0 and I get everything wrong. You know what I mean? But you guys can guess how many you think I'm going to get right, how many points you think I'm going to earn from 0 to 56. And I'm going to write your name, your YouTube name, obviously, not your real name, down here, and then how many points you have guessed. Okay? And then that will be the... And like I said, in 2 weeks' time, when the season starts, I think it's literally exactly 14 days' time. Because it starts on Friday. Arsenal play Coventry City. And this is Friday now, and it's 2 Fridays from now. Well, it's this Friday, next Friday's no, and then it's that Friday after that is when the season starts. So, end of the day, what you got to get then is basically... How many do you think I'm going to get? And you've got until then. Because I don't want anyone using what happens in Arsenal Coventry to decide. So it'll be the Thursday. It'll be literally Friday morning, the voting stops. Any votes after that, sorry, you missed out. You should have done it in the 2 weeks. Okay? So anyone watching this in the future, if you want to have your say, make sure to get your vote of how many points you think I'm going to earn off of these predictions. And, of course, my table predictions. How many points do you think I'm going to earn? Because these are 1 point each for each club here. Is 1 point if they're in the exact correct position. So 20 possible points if I get it dead on. Pretty much. Plus the 3 points for each first guess. So if Erling Haaland is the top scorer, that's 3 points right there. Okay? Same with if most assists, Bruno does end the season with most assists. But as you can see, with the points explanation, if Cole Palmer ended as most assists, that would be 2 points, because it was my second guess. And then, as I said, if none of the guesses are correct and none of these players finish as the most assists in the league, then guess what? That's 0 points. Okay? It doesn't matter if they finish second or third. That means nothing. It's if they finish first. Okay? That's the rules, basically. Okay? So everyone understands that. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section, or my Discord, which you can join. I'll try and get a new link for my Discord and put it in the description for you guys to join it. And other than that, leave your exact points predictions as either a comment in this stream/VOD. You can put it in the comment section and I'll see it there. Or if you're in the Discord, you can put it in the football channel so that I know it is your prediction. You can put it in the football channel area of where you think the predictions are going to be, okay? But yeah, that's finished. That's my finished predictions, okay? So, yeah, with that being said, guys, that's the predictions done. You know what I mean? End of the day, they were done. They're done. And now it's just about saving this. I need to make sure I save the finished thing. But yeah, that is a finished Prem 26-27. And we are going to download that image, bruv. But yeah. Very nice. End of the day. That is my finished prediction right there. Let me know what you think of it. Let me know all of this thing. And, yeah, you know, end of the day, we'll see how it goes. But, yeah, end of the day. Like I said, guys, it's all up to you now. You know what I mean? I've done my part. I've done my predictions. I've done what I think's going to happen in the season. Now is all up to you of where you think I am going to have, like, how many you think I'm going to get right. Pretty much, you know what I mean? Like, how many do you think I'm going to nail? Is pretty much how it is. You know what I mean? Todd, don't leave. What do you mean? Sorry, Baz, bro. You're here, bro. You've only just joined, bro. You've joined right at the end. God's sake, man. How have you managed to join right at the end, bruv? Welcome, Baz. Sorry. You've joined right at the end. I've literally just done every single prediction in this stream/VOD. So, bro, but how are you doing, bro? I've literally just done every single one of my predictions and stuff. I've explained everything as well. But how are you doing, bro? Let me go. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, how you doing, brother? You've been here for 15 minutes, have you now? Well, have you at least... Did you see what I did? You didn't read your messages. Yeah, I'm sorry. I had to have the chat turned off. I had to have it off because otherwise I couldn't... Like, no one could see what I had. So, yeah, I had to have it off for a bunch of reasons. So, yeah, I do apologize, bro, about that. But, yeah, you know, end of the day, I did just see the messages there. I do apologize. Like I said... I had to have the chat off, as you can see. Like, look, I can put the chat back on now. But I had to have it off, otherwise you couldn't see what I was doing. But, yeah. You know, end of the day. How am I doing? I'm doing great, thanks. I'm doing great. Are you going to have your prediction in this, by the way? For your chance to win a 50 quid gift card from me. It could be a 50 quid gift card of anything you want. Any game you want 50 quid on, I can do that. Any website you want 50 quid on, you can have that. But that's if you get the closest. So are you going to be having your say? Obviously, like I said, you guys have got 2 weeks. You were here. You've been here the whole time, so you know what I said. You guys have until 2 Fridays' time. So not next Friday, but the Friday after that, voting closes. Okay? Of having how much you think I'm going to finish on. But I'm doing great, bro. How about you? But yeah, like I said, you know, end of the day... I'm assuming you're going to have your own guess, because end of the day, all you have to do is guess a number between 0 and 56, pretty much. Like, even if you don't like football, I've made it easy for people to, you know, it's like a lottery, you know what I mean? You can have a guess and stuff like that. You do it for fun, keep your 50 quid. No, bro. I'm doing the 50 quid for fun. I want to do the 50 quid because end of the day, it's a way of giving back to my viewers that are willing to watch my stuff. I'm doing the 50 quid on purpose. I'm doing it so that it's not like, you know, an insanely expensive thing, because I don't want to like make it that, oh, I give away loads of money to people and stuff like that. But it's just like a fun bet. You know, it's like when you do bets with your mates on like football fantasy, you know what I mean? And you bet like, you know, money on that. This is the same kind of, you know, where it's like, I've done my predictions. You can go through who I've put as all of like the stuff like that. But no, bro, like if you win, I'm gonna give you the 50 quid, all right? Even if you don't want a gift card, I'll just give you the 50 quid. Let someone else get it. No, bro, it's random. End of the day, if you just do a random guess anyway, you probably won't win. Because, like, other people will actually, like, look into who they think's gonna get points and stuff. Whereas you'll probably just do it for fun. You know what I mean? End of the day, bro, look, I want to be able to give out. You know what I mean? You'll give it to someone like that. That's fine. You know, honestly, at least I then give it to you, and then you can decide who wins it. You know what I mean? That's the bonus here. You know what I mean? Like, I'm fine with that. Like, if you, like, whatever you want to do with it, that's fine. But I'm still going to say that you have the decision of if you keep it or if you give it to someone else. You know what I mean? Because then if you need it at some point for something, like if you want to buy something, you can keep it by the end of the season. Because you got to remember, this is in a year's time. Like, no one's going to win until June next year. June next year is when we're going to go through everything. So, you should be giving me stuff. Well, I mean, yeah, I can't do that, though. That's the thing. Like, no one can give me anything right now because I can't get, you know, donations and that until I get enough subs. That's why I've just got to grind out, you know what I mean? Just got to grind out YouTube, get some subs. And then I can start getting donos and stuff and things like that. But I can't do that yet, you know what I mean? So, but it is how it is, you know what I mean? End of the day, I'm giving you guys the ability to enjoy my content. And you're giving me the ability to enjoy making my own content by liking my content. You know what I mean? And that's the bonus here, isn't it? So, yeah, that's the benefit of it. But like I said, end of the day, oh, one thing that you could do actually that would be incredible. Do you have the link to a Discord that I can pin in the chat? You order me a pizza now. Well, I don't need a pizza now, thanks. But, you know, like, if you could put that link to the Discord, because Adam can't go on Discord at the moment, so he can't do it. That's one thing you could do for me right now, if that would be not too much of a trouble. Just putting, like, the link to a Discord to, like, be able to join it if you want. And then, yeah, like, if you could put, like, the link to the Discord, and then I'll just, like, pin it so that then anyone who watches this in the future... if you've made it to the end of this stream and stuff like that, if you've done all the predictions and things like that, just click the link in the Discord that I've pinned, and you can then get to join the Discord and put your prediction in there if you don't want to put it in the comment section of the channel and stuff. But yeah, end of the day, with that being said, like I said, end of the day, it's just 50 quid, you know, people can, you know, do what they want with it. Like I said, I'm not gonna, like, you know, as long as it's just a way I can give it to you, I'm not gonna, like, give you the 50 quid dead on. It's got to be a gift card or something. Like, it's got to be something where I get a code, and then I'll give you the code, you know what I mean, for you to put in. Thank you. I do not know what all of the other part is, but that's, wait, that's a YouTube link, bro. That's a link to this video. I mean, like, a link to the Discord. Yeah, I was gonna say that's a link to YouTube. I need the link to, like, if you want to invite someone to join the Discord, I need to, like, have a link that I can put there so people can click it and join. There we go. Thank you very much. Boom. There we go. Alrighty. So yeah, end of the day, like I said, you know, we've gone through all the predictions. Like I said, when people do watch this in the future, if any of you guys are watching this in the future, I have no issue with you skipping through it. I explained all of my reasoning why I put things there. But if any of you are not that bothered about that and just want to have the chance to win, I'm completely okay with you, like, skipping through bits to, like, see the results and then you know, have your say. Like, you don't have to, like, sit there for 2 hours watching me explain why I'm putting things places. That's just for the intro. That's just for the video. That's just for people to enjoy. You know what I mean? But what you can do is, if you do want to have your own say and have a chance to win, and you want to have an in-depth, guess, then you can just look at where I put everything, my reasoning behind it and stuff, and then you can think, oh, I agree with him, or no, I don't agree with him, you know? I'll also put the link to this exact tier list in the Discord, like Adam wanted, so that then people can do their own one, and then I can see, obviously, what they get right or not, you know what I mean? Yeah, don't worry about it, bro. End of the day, I'm fine, don't you worry, brother. But that's very appreciative, bro. Like I said, if you ever, like, in the future do want to give me money at any given point, hopefully donos will be up. Like, I think when I get to 500 subs, I think I unlock donations. So, if we ever get to that point, and if you ever want at any point to, honestly, if you want to do it, you don't have to, but if at any point anyone ever wants to do donos, when we get to the 500 subs, you'll have the option to do that and stuff, but you don't have to do it if you don't want to, because I will stream to you guys no matter how much money I make. Like, right now, I make nothing. But that's not the point. I do it for the enjoyment of streaming, not for the making of money. You get what I mean? But obviously the money is an added bonus. Anywho, as I said, I hope you guys did enjoy the stream nonetheless. Like I said, anyone watching this in the future, just read the rules carefully. And also, even you, Baz, I would recommend, if you are going to have like an in-depth of like how the points and that work, just go to the description of the stream and you will see all of the rules written up. You order me a dinner on 500 subs. Oh, well, thank you, bro. You know, if we can get to 500, you make, you know what? Sure, I'll keep that promise, bro. You keep that. We'll see. We'll see if we get there. You know what I mean, and stuff like that. But I'm down for that, bro. But yeah, you know, end of the day, I am very welcome. Thank you very much, bro. Thank you so much. But yeah, like I said, if at any point you want to ask me any questions about how it works and stuff, I will always answer any questions in the comments or in the Discord. Also, have your say on the points and how many you think I'm gonna get right and things. Just leave the comments in the Discord or in the comment section. Leave your answers in the Discord football channel. Make sure it's the football channel so that I know it's for that. And then also, if you don't want to do it there, just do it in the comments of this stream, and then I know it's also for this as well. Other than that, like I said, just make sure to read everything carefully. Like I said, you've got 2 weeks. There's no rush. End of the day, you've got 2 weeks to have your guess before I close the voting. And any guess that you guys go for, I'm gonna write in I'm gonna write every single number that you guys pick. So like, if I go back to this, any number that you guys pick, or anything that you like, the second you guess a number between 1 and 56 or 0 and 56 of how many you think I'm gonna get right, the second you guess a number, I am gonna put your name down here at the bottom. Right, and I'm going to put a list of people's YouTube name and then what their guess is, if you get what I mean. So, like, the YouTube name and then what the number guess is going to be down here. And then whoever gets closest to the real number when I put it up here of points earned from 0 to 56 is going to win the 50 quid to be used on whatever they want. They can use it on a gift card, a game, currency. Hell, they can, as long as it's a code, basically, as long as I can buy a 50 quid code card of that thing, I'll do it. You know what I mean? Because, like, I'm not gonna go and, you know, send 50 quid in the mail or anything. You know, I'm not gonna do that. But, like, I will willingly do it if I can just buy a code and then give you guys the code of what it is. You know what I mean? But yeah, you know, end of the day, it's as simple as that. So, like I said, thank you to everyone who has been here for the stream, by the way. End of the day, we are at 3 hours and 20 minutes this stream. Like I said, if you guys don't want to sit here and watch the whole thing, you don't have to. Like I said, and I can't stress this enough. If you have any questions on how it works or how to put your vote in or anything like that, just put it in the comment section or in the Discord. Just tell me in the Discord or tell me in the comment section, and I will answer any single thing that you would want me to answer for you. Okay? You put you on. I don't know what that is. Oh, what is? Oh, you put like that on the pizza. Yeah, I might like that. I don't know. I haven't never had it. So I don't know. But yeah, like I said, thank you to everyone who has been here for the stream. Thank you, Baz, obviously, for showing up. Thank you, Adam and Eli and MRJ earlier for showing up. As well, thank you to everyone as well, by the way, who watches this in the future. Like I said, if you do want to have your say, just do everything. Like I've explained it so many times in the video that I'm not going to explain it again. Just go to the description to read everything there, and then also listen to everything I say throughout the stream, and you will understand exactly how to have a chance of winning the 50 quid, okay? What you do with that 50 quid afterwards, I don't care. But, like, end of the day, it's just a bit of fun, innit? You know what I mean? It's a way to do the predictions with also having a bit of a twist to it. You know what I mean? So, yeah, like I said, thank you for being here, guys. Make sure to watch through carefully. If you did enjoy the stream and or VOD, if you're watching this in the future, please do not hesitate to like the stream, and then obviously more people will then get notified by what the content is, and then that means also more people will have a chance to win, you know what I mean, and have their own guesses in and stuff. Now remember, any guesses you make after the season starts do not count. The second we get to that Friday, the voting stops. Any guess you do after that, I'm not counting. It doesn't count because the season started, you know what I mean. But until that season starts, it's all on the table for you. So yeah, just have your say, you know what I mean? Like I said, if you also want to go one step further, instead of just liking the stream, you can also subscribe to the channel, because obviously next time we stream, guys, it's going to be the Nintendo series that you guys have been waiting for. We're doing this in first, and then in the next, I think I'll probably wait until probably like Monday, Tuesday kind of time, because I know I'm not going to stream tomorrow. I doubt I'll get it done by Sunday, but in the next like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday kind of time, I am going to bring you guys the Nintendo series that you guys have voted on and wanted to see. The new Mario series. I'm not going to tell you what game it is, but it is a Mario series that was incredibly popular when it dropped and is still very popular even now. So that is all I can give you for now. And yeah, like I said, if you want to go and hit the channel Discord, you can click the link in the top chat/live chat. The pinned message, and you can join the Discord through that. But with that being said, thank you to everyone who's been here for the stream. Thank you very much for listening to me, and I hope you guys, you know, enter yourself into the winnings, you know what I mean? You enter yourself into the chance to win the 50 quid, you know what I mean? To win the gift card, and of whatever the hell you want, you know what I mean? And that's the benefit, innit, really? But yeah, end of the day, I hope you guys enjoyed, and with that being said, guys, make sure to read everything, and I guess